The first game we look for, Robbie. Tottenham away. When we got Tottenham away. Tottenham away. When we got Tottenham away.
Hello everybody, welcome to Tottenham Away, the best place to be in town if you're a Spurs fan and you know it. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, all that good stuff. Thanks for being here as always, people, everyone in the live chat, everyone in the comments, and everyone who watches the show later. Thank you for watching the channel. Make sure you put your comments up. We'll go for as many as we can. If you want us to specifically answer any of your questions, put in your super chats and we will get to those as well. JP, another Monday, another win, lose, draw, win, lose. Hey.
Well, we actually haven't really drawn a lot, so it was quite refreshing drawing.
It's quite nice.
Listen, like, I'm quite done with the whole. I'm peed off with the team, the club, the board, the players, the stand, the drinks machine,
the grass,
the
goalpost.
I didn't go the weekend. That's the first time I've actually felt like, do you know what? I don't even want to go. I didn't put my ticket up for sale or anything. I just thought, sod it, I'm not going.
Mate, I stopped going 2-3 weeks ago, and I feel cleansed. I feel refreshed as a human being, man. Like it is what it is. Maz, how you doing, brother? You good?
Yeah, mate. Yep. Nothing's changed from yesterday, from last night. I still feel the same.
Same old. It's been a while, but he's back. The one and only Lee. How you doing, Lee?
Personally, I'm great. Fine. Football-wise, I don't know how much more of this up and down like a seesaw I can take, to be quite honest with you. It's becoming a bit mad.
It is just consistently inconsistent, as many people have said. Oh, there he is, the happy clapper. Ian.
There he is.
Wembley. Can you imagine? I mean, Ange would go for if Spurs lose this one. Hey?
Oh my God.
Good evening.
How you doing, Ian? Did you have a good day?
Yeah, it was not bad, thanks. Work from home today. Quite chilled. Good cup draw.
I was hoping it would be the other way around, though. I would have much better to seen Tamworth come to Tottenham Hotspur Stadium and get a bit of the revenue, right? That would have been fantastic for them.
I wonder.
In case anyone doesn't know who's watching the show, the FA Cup draw has been made and Spurs have landed Tamworth away. So we're playing the mighty Tammers away. That should be a nice, simple game for our youngsters.
And just for all the Arsenal fans, who did you draw?
Gussie
Vindaloo, where are you? Vindaloo.
Yeah, where is he? Gussied for them. We've had City in the last two draws, haven't we?
Who did Arsenal get?
Man United.
Home or away?
Arsenal are home, I think.
Yeah.
I kind of think Arsenal might edge that then if they're at home. But we'll see. Amorim, he looks like he's beginning to get something going at United, but too early to tell. But anyway, look, this isn't an Arsenal or Man United channel. It's Tottenham, and we're here to talk Tottenham, and that's exactly what we're going to do. Guys, smash a like, subscribe, all the good stuff. Big up to every single person in the chat. Thanks for being here tonight. Strasbourg Steve, Tamworth is somewhere in the Midlands because I can see you asking in the chat. So there you go.
And it's like the amount of people that are going to start Googling that now.
It's 19 miles from Birmingham.
Ian, you really do have the most pointless stats, but you know them so well, like always. Yeah, he's like, do you remember that? What was that show with? Was it called Badil and Skinner? Skinner and Badil.
Yeah.
Yeah, years ago.
And there's that guy that sat in the background. He's got Stato. Yeah, Stato. Do you know what? We should start doing that. I'm gonna get like a little jingle for you.
No, I only know still because on Brian's group, Ben asked where's Tamworth? So I just had a quick Google up, and it said 19 miles from Birmingham, I think. So
Graham says near Nottingham, and he's another seasoned traveller around the country following sports. So I guess it's up north, in the middle of the country, somewhere there, in the middle of the UK.
16th in the National League they are.
That'll be a tough game then.
It will be entertaining for sure, right? It will be an entertaining game for an entertaining team.
Mikey Moore might get a game. Lancashire might get a game.
Guys, what's happened to Mikey Moore? He had this he was ill.
Someone said he had a virus, and then it's like, and now he's out for a month or something, isn't he?
No, what's happened is he's realised that he doesn't want to play for Ange Postecoglou in this suicide football system. So he's faking illness.
He got a letter from his mum.
Mikey Moore's got a virus. Lanky called in sick on Saturday. There's something going on at the club.
Dear Ange, Mikey must be excused from football today since he's forgotten his kit. It's all right, mate. You've got a bin out the back.
Dear Ange, Mikey will not be able to attend football today because he's looking at other clubs. We'll keep you notified as to our final decision.
Oh dear.
It does seem a bit strange though that he's out for this long and it's not an injury. I mean, other than COVID and long COVID, I don't know really what. I mean, is it something a bit more serious that the club really can't speak about because of medical reasons? You're not allowed to talk about it.
They just said it's a virus, isn't it? A really, really bad virus that he got.
It depends, though, doesn't it? I mean, I don't know about you guys, but when I've had a flu or virus or whatever, and it's knocked me out sometimes. Well, I remember one occasion, I didn't feel right for like a good 6-7 weeks, or longer. So he might have just got a really bad virus, and it's taken a long time for him to recover.
Yeah, he's certainly not a bottler, this kid, that's for sure.
Oh, don't listen to the chat. By the way, someone's got something pinging really loud again. Is it Ian? Has he got all these notifications on?
That'd be Ian's mobile.
Yeah. Listen, guys. Do you know what? I want to start this show on a little bit of a bit left field, right? So I'm just lost. I'm lost, and it's not about the tactics. It's not about Ange Ball. It's not about Levy. It's not about transfers. It's not about substitutions. I'm really lost with our fan base. Okay. There is now a definite fraction in the fan base. One side, get Ange out, fed up of him, tactics, it's all on him, substitutions, doesn't know what he's doing, in-game management, all the usual things we hear and the things we discuss when we don't win a game. Levy out, Enoch out, as always. That's one side. Then you've got this other side, which is, but we had injuries. But isn't it a coincidence that Man City have got a lot of injuries, Tottenham have got a lot of injuries? Look at what's happened to both clubs. And by the way, I'm not joking. Right? Someone actually said that. Look, Man City are the only other team with a remotely similar injury crisis to us. Check out how they're doing. I'm just telling you the other side of what's going on. There's people saying, no Solanke, no Van der Ven, no Romero, no Vicario, Kulu, Bentancur were out. Basically the spine of our team, just want to put some perspective on it. But yet those players were available when we beat other teams this season, like Villa and those players were there when we lost to Palace, Ipswich, Brighton. And then you've got, accounts that are doing this. When we win, he outmaneuvered Guardiola. When we don't win, he's asking, was it a fair result? Nothing about the manager, doesn't question. I saw a video yesterday on Last Word on Spurs where one of the people on the show blamed what Ange is wearing. He actually said the way he dresses isn't tailored. That's not mind-blowing, right? Look, they're allowed their opinions. The other side's allowed their opinions. My question for you guys and everyone in the chat. Are people so balls deep in with Ange that they must find any excuse to justify being balls deep in with this guy? Or do they genuinely have valid points that I call excuses? Because It's nuts, man. It's absolute. I've never seen this kind of a defense for a manager ever at Spurs. If this was Conte Mourinho, the knives would be out. This was Poch. He's done. He's lost the dressing room. Or is it valid? Do these people have a valid point? Does Ange need to smarten up the way he dresses to give a more professional look to his players? Are the injuries the major issue at Spurs? Is that why we can't beat Fulham? Is it the fact that certain players are unavailable? You know, we can't cope anymore, and that's it. That's how it is now until they all come back. Where are you guys with it, man? Because this division, this is the most insane division that I've seen at Spurs so far. Because to me, it doesn't make sense. But I don't know, man. Like, look, I'm my own person, right? Maybe I look at the world differently. But JP, how do you look at this?
So flipping the coin on the other side, and it's kind of, these are questions as opposed to, are people just peed off with the fact that it's another cycle starting? Are people just peed off with the fact that we're going to have to start another cycle, another 5-year plan? Here we go again, another manager through the door. They obviously don't like to stand up to the regime. They don't like to stand up to the board. People like to not think that it's the board's fault. When you hear stories that he's been given 400 million, this person's received this amount of money to spend, this person's received that amount of money to spend. We've obviously been through I wouldn't say negative style of football, but it was a bit dull, like before. So whereas now, even though I hear everyone saying, "Oh, it's really good to watch Tottenham at the moment," well, yeah, it frigging is. If you're not a Spurs fan, it's absolutely great. Every team comes and plays well and looks like kind of prime Argentina, Brazil against us. And we kind of 1 week good, 1 week, you know. I think people almost maybe at the end of their tether, whereas they just kind of don't want to go through the whole cycle again. This guy plays a bit of kick and rush football. Let's just get behind him and see how it goes. On the other side of it, they just blasé about it, and it's not as important to them. It is literally go down, meet my mates for a beer and watch some footy, and that's it. I think the whole football fan that goes to the ground now has changed for sure, because I think a lot of the real fans have probably either been priced out. They're a lot older now, which can't afford because their season tickets have been kind of like raised like a rocket, like the price for them. So the fans that go now are literally tourists. It is literally what Levy wants. People to come in, buy a ticket for the day, come in, spend loads of money in the shop, spend loads of money on beer, have a little bit of a party afterwards.
JP, I get that, but the fans that are putting out these opinions, they're not what we necessarily tourists or fans that are new to Spurs. Well, some of them are very young, so I guess they're new to Spurs. But there's go on, Lee. Go, Lee. Yes, you can go.
I've got it. It simply put, it's a coping mechanism, right? There are fans out there that can't simply accept that maybe, and I'm, you know me, I've been a bit balanced in the middle. Me and Maz have had our words before about this, that, and the other, and I'm completely flopped to one side now. There are certain fans out there, again, my opinion, our opinions, whatever, that simply can't accept that this guy is not what he was sold out to be, right? His brand of football, I believe, doesn't work in the Premier League. I think some of the results, like the Man City, etc., have sort of brushed over the bigger issues. And I can't understand how we can keep losing to certain lower rated teams or mid-table teams, or even accept that they can come to our ground, not their ground, our ground, and make us look silly just because he won't change his stubborn ways, unless it's against Man City. It'll change for them. Oh yeah, he'll change for them and get a 4-0 result, but he won't change for anyone else. He doesn't respect any other team apart from them. The only coping mechanism that other fans have is that it can't be that bad. It must just be a blip. It's a project. We've just got to, we've got to ride this out. It's been 18 months. Nothing has changed since last season. I get that the squad aren't good enough, but I'm still, my opinion is that even with a better squad, this still exposes us. So everything is just, as you said, it's excuses for accepting that maybe it isn't all as green as what people made out 18 months ago. I mean, we've seen it. We've seen people that have come in and said, well, this Ange guy that you've been sold, he's not as good as he actually looks. And he's never managed a top team or a competitive league, not just a league, a competitive league with top players. I mean, you only have to look at some of the mannerisms and the way that the players are playing. It just, something is not right. It doesn't feel right, and people can't accept that. It's just blips. It can't be that. Something all around is very disjointed at the moment.
Can I ask you, actually, you just got me thinking, right? I'll come to Mazzanine on this bit. Do you think that what the other side of the argument is projecting, I gave you some examples of what I call excuses, but if that's their reality, fair enough. Do you think they're doing that because they know if Ange goes, they don't have a choice but to now point the finger at Levy, and now that's where they have to go, and they just can't do that. So by protecting Ange, it stops them from having to go after what we all know is the biggest problem. It's that schmuck Levy and that and that awful Joe Lewis and Enoch, right? We all know they are the problem. Do you think, Ian and Maz, by being protective to Ange, it's a layer of protection for them to not then be told, right, it is Levy, isn't it then? Or have I gone a bit too deep on that?
All right, let me go from top downwards. Levy brought in Scott Munn to protect him, to cover him. I think there are a lot of fans that have come in over the last 20 years, 25 years. I mean, anyone today who's 30 probably started supporting Spurs around the year 2000, and they've seen one trophy since then. So for them, it's a completely different way of looking at the club than someone like me. I mean, I replied to a tweet today where someone was going on about, someone said one trophy in 24 years. He turned around and said, oh, but we only got 2 trophies in 17 years before Enoch took over. And I came back and said, well, actually, in the one trophy in 24 years with Enoch, 5 trophies in the previous 24 years, and 7 trophies in the 24 years before then. Guy hasn't come back. I just think the difference between fans, I'm not saying all fans, that's not what I'm saying, but I just look at it and it's apathy amongst our fan base. And I think a lot of them who have seen the glory nights of the last century expect this club to carry on. You know, I saw a great tweet today with Bill Nicholson and Bill Shankly, and look where the owners have taken Liverpool on, you know, from the legacy that Shankly left, and look where the owners today have taken Tottenham on from the legacy and the club and history and tradition that Bill Nicholson built. And I just think people aren't used to Spurs winning trophies, a lot of the fan base, and they just don't care. I honestly think they don't care. I think there's a percentage of fans also who are fed up with this constant managerial, you know, revolving door, and they just want to see Ange given a chance, which I understand because at the end of the day, you know, you look at the most less successful managers, say over the last 40, 50 years, Ferguson, Wenger, Klopp,
Jose,
Pep,
Mourinho.
Yeah, Mourinho. The only anomaly is Chelsea. But take Chelsea out. I mean, even Simone's Simone at Atletico's been there God knows how long. You know, these guys. Ancelotti's been at Real now for a few years, and you know the best clubs have stability. So people are looking at it thinking, well, another 18 months, someone else comes in. I remember we talked about Ange coming in, and he had players from about 6 different managers, and it was just, well, that's just ridiculous. You know, going back to Lloris, and it was just mad. So I understand people just want to see Ange given a chance, and I was having a chat with someone on one of the WhatsApp groups tonight, and he's turned around and said that he thinks if the fan base see that Ange, if Ange fails miserably this year, if he's given to the end of the season, then he doesn't see too many fans that could turn around and say, well, he wasn't given a chance. He's had 3 or 4 transfer windows, and we're no further, you know, we're no better off. So listen, I hope they're wrong, and I hope we win a trophy this year. But you know, it's a real mix still. I don't think it's. I don't think it's an Ange. I don't think it's an Ange. I don't think it's specifically like a Trump Biden election where it's, you know, you're very on one side or the other. I genuinely think there are a lot of fans who just want to see success, and they just want him to be given a chance.
Maz, before I come to you, we'll do a couple of super chats. EdX, big up. Sadly, the club I supported for decades is simply just a division of Enoch and Levy. I can't care more than the board, which doesn't. Are we not entertained by what is now an abusive relationship? Pretty much what we say most weeks. Ed, VCats, big up. Maz and Stell, you called that we would get to this point since early Ange days against popular opinion. Levy's wage structure will always hold us back. Though we discussed the wage structure many, many times. And yeah, it does hold us back. And derangeable or derangeable. Are you not entertained? Yeah, we're loving it. We're absolutely loving it. Derangeable. Great name, by the way. Big up to you. Yeah, Maz. So this division, look, I think Ian makes a good point. It's not just Ange in, Ange out, Levy in, Levy out. There's lots of different divisions and fractures. It's not just one or two. He's right. I'm going to try. My question, though, sorry, Maz. My question more is about: are they doing it to protect Levy? Are they doing it because they really believe it, or are they doing it because the thought of another manager is too much to handle? So they just want to plow along with this guy, even if he's the wrong guy.
Okay, I'll answer that question. And I'm going to answer it a different way than everyone else's answer, just to keep things
by the way, big up
interesting.
Saba for sending your viewers to us. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Now, you know, even Stalin knew when he came into power that to control a populace, you need 2 things. You need to control the educational establishment, right? And you need to control the media. And what Levy and Cullen have done very well is that they've absolutely controlled the educational portion of the game in terms of changing the narrative from football and developing the club, and they've made that the priority as opposed to winning trophies. And the other thing that they've done very well is they've captured the media, and one of the ways they've done that is by revoking rights and access to the club and rewarding those that push the narrative that they want to the narrative that they want put out there. And they've done this for many years, and a lot of fans, certainly that are online and follow the various YouTubers, effectively have bought into a lot of the different narratives. And what the club want is there to be lots of different narratives out there, so that no one big narrative takes hold, right? And that way, that as long as everyone is divided and has lots of different opinions, which you could argue that they naturally will, that's the nature of football, then they will remain in control, because we can't galvanize towards one cause or a movement, like the Levy out or the protests as such. So that's my slightly historical, philosophical view of it all. But Ian's right, Lee's right, JP's right. And you're right as well. Still, I don't think there's any one specific reason. I think that I'm not going to repeat everything everyone just said. I think for the reasons you guys have outlined, then that's why there's all these differing opinions, and that's why we're so split. And it's to the benefit of Levy and the board that this is created. Now, there are, I know we discuss this a lot, don't we? Where we think that surely after 25 years, every manager that comes and fails will point more and more people to the root cause of the problem. And I think that is happening. And I believe that is happening. Whether or not it's enough to change enough people's opinion to make it, to make the board react, time will tell. And whether or not, Angie's their last hope, effectively, a bit like Star Wars, like the last hope, the last Jedi for them, to do that. Who knows? I've given up trying to predict how the fan base is going to react.
I actually think social media has strengthened Levy and Enoch. I think it's strengthened them. It's given rise
because they can control the narrative.
Yeah,
they can control the narrative.
Like I said, they've controlled the educational piece. Yeah, so they've let me make it a little bit more simple, add a little bit more meat to the bones, right? So for me, the educational piece for the fan base is the football, the ex-football managers, the ex-football players that buy into Levy's and Tottenham, the board's narrative, right? The guys that don't want to lose access. For the fans, that's the educational piece, and the pundits, right? And the media is all of the Sky Sports, the Talk Sports, and the YouTubers, and they've masterfully controlled all of those different pieces perfectly to control the narrative. Because the facts are he's been the longest reigning chairman in the Premier League, yet he's arguably the least successful because of the amount of money we spent, because of where we are as a club, a stature of a club versus what we should be winning. He's developed the culture of Spursy to the point now where even we're using it to describe our own team, and we were really dead against using that terminology only a couple of seasons ago. I hated it, but now I've almost embraced it and think, well, that's what we are.
But Maz, you've only got to look at the stat that came out last week. The amount of money that they have actually invested into this club in 23 years is an absolute pittance.
Yeah,
compared
to
others.
Yeah. It's the lowest in the league from their own pocket.
It just goes to show you how they're not willing to invest their own money. If they wanted to, they could put as much money as they wanted, buy the best players that they want. They don't want to. They want the club. And this is where other YouTubers, not naming out names, will say, but he's an absolute genius because he's made us sustainable. But that's fine. Great. He's done a great job of that. I don't take that away from Daniel Levy. I don't take away the fact that he's built us a stadium and he's made us sustainable. That's fantastic. Go and do that at a supermarket or a furniture store or something like that. Don't do it at a football club where, unfortunately, it's a results-based game, and to win and get those results, you have to pay for the best. And if you don't pay for the best, then you are a big shiny place with a lovely, fantastic sign selling, cheap products, and that's what you're going to get. And this is the type of kickback you're going to get from the hardcore football fans, from other fans that look at it as what's he done from a business perspective. Great, you can praise him as much as you like, but at the end of the day, we are a core football team and we are a results based business, and we're not getting those results. It's as simple as that. They're not giving us the results. We've had one near miss in 23 years in the Champions League final, and even most people can accept that was a fluke getting there. So
the thing is, we
I don't think.
In terms of flukes, I also want to. I'm convinced that Bale was a fluke. I don't think they knew that he would turn into a worldwide superstar. I don't think they knew that. Well, they definitely didn't know.
You never know with any youngster what they're really going to become. You're just looking for potential, right?
No, but still, we've effectively had 3 in the last 20 years, which if you think about for a club like us,
Bale, and who's the other one?
Modric.
Yeah, Modric. Yeah.
But Bale was like a modern day meme, really, wasn't he? He was. What was the record? It's something like 10 games with him starting at left back, and we didn't win a game. He was like it was like, don't play Bale because you always lose. Until someone came along and went, actually, do you know what? He's not a left back. He's a left winger. He's a forward. Let's stick him there. And all of a sudden, he's one of the most expensive players in the world, right?
Yeah, but that for me is not because Levy knew how to find gems, or that he put in this amazing scouting infrastructure, and we were like finding all these guys left, right, and centre. It was a bit of fluke. He fluked it.
Absolutely. Tim Sherwood with Harry Kane.
Yeah.
Harry Redknapp with Bale.
Exactly.
Where would the club have been, Lee? I'd just ask everybody, where would the club have been if Kane hadn't come through?
Oh, God knows. We would have been trying to get into top 4, 5th, 6th, that kind of place. We wouldn't have really done much more than that, I think.
The thing is, what I was going to say to Lee was that while you're right in terms of everything about the club and they've not delivered and everything, but I think, as Maz was saying, he's done a fantastic job in brainwashing people and driving the narrative to go, winning's not really that important. And half the fan base believe that.
It's a lovely family day out.
Winning's not important.
Space.
You can winning something's not important. Going to that shiny stadium and having a beer.
JP, it's absolutely amazing in a way how he's done it, how he's pulled that off, because he's even had the really influential people that aren't even affiliated with Spurs saying the same things, which I find incredible. All the commentators and all the pundits saying, "Oh wow, what a stadium! Wow, what training grounds!" And they're saying this live on TV and on radio, but I know that they speak differently in closed circles and in social events because they take the piss out of us behind the scenes. But that doesn't matter to Levy. As long as they're saying it publicly and people are listening to it, that's all that matters.
And I mean, from my perspective, Maz, what hurts me so much is, apart from, yes, I saw the cup in 91, and yes, I was there in 81, stuff like that. But I hate getting the piss taken out of me every other week when I go to work. I hate it. I hate losing. I hate not going and seeing a parade or something like those joyful scenes that I had. Kind of like back then, it winds me up. Losing a game of football really ruins my weekend.
JP, do you know what? Right, I was thinking about this the other day, and I'm going to admit something that I've never admitted to anyone before. Don't worry, it's not on fancy style or anything like that. You see this? I will not wear this or any of my other tops like this out if we've lost. because I know the backlash that I will get, even walking down the street or going up to playing football on a Friday night with loads of other people. I'll always get, oh, Tottenham, or what's that? I'll only wear it if we've won afterwards, because I can't be asked with the mouth and stuff like that. You're absolutely right.
Do you know what? Listening to this chat, you remember a couple of weeks ago where I said the wins mean nothing to me. I don't feel the wins anymore. I struggle to cheer them on anymore, and I feel the same for a loss and a draw. Like, the club is just dead to me in terms of emotion. Until I see that Poch level back and pushing on, I don't think I'm ever going to feel that way for the club again. And people on the show were like, not having a go at me, but questioning me. And some of you said, you know, that's really sad that you're there. You know, that's a really sad place to be in. And then people in the comments one or two were calling me out. And then after the show, I went through the comments, and people, one or two, not a lot, were really having digs at me. Everything you're saying now correlates with what I've been saying. That's how I feel about Spurs. This club is dead to me. Like, the only reason I'm here is because it's a loyal thing. Like, I can't go and support Chelsea and suddenly sing songs against Spurs. I can't go and support Arsenal and start calling Tottenham scum. I can't do that. You know, go and support Brighton, okay, but then Brighton will play Spurs, and then I'm trapped. You know, because I grew up near the stadium. My family is Spurs. They're not going to. My family don't feel like me. They still go. So it's almost like you can't just let go of Tottenham. That's it. I'm done. But in terms of from an emotional place, guys, I'm done. I feel nothing for this club, and listening to you guys talk just makes me think. Do you know what?
He knows. He knows that.
That's where I am. I'm telling you. I think you guys are closing in.
He knows that, though. Still, he knows that, right? He knows he's got that emotional kind of almost grab those fans by the balls. That, do you know what? You can't really go and support another club because it's in your heart, it's in your blood. And right now, so far, 25 years of winning whatever it is, 3 things. Is anyone really challenging it? No.
How can you go and support Liverpool, JP? How can you go and support Liverpool, JP? And then when it's Liverpool Spurs and Liverpool 3-0 up, are you going to start singing Tottenham, get back? You can't do it. You can't do it. It's like you're stuck. You know.
Still, I think it's good. I think this conversation would be good to move on to Andrew's comments.
Yeah, we will. All right, let's go on to Andrew's comments. I just want to go for a couple more super chats quickly. Deranged Bull says, "Will not change. It's strange. Will shortage." So we will not change. It's strange. Will shorthand. Very well done, Deranged Bull. And he's called Deranged Bull. AU's a big up to you. Says, "Evening panel. Hope you're well. Love the shows. Thank you for watching and being a part of the channel." There's one or two comments I highlighted. This one's brilliant. This channel is underrated. Yesterday was therapy with Michael. Today's history with Maz. If anyone never saw the therapy, the emotional breakdown of Michael last night, you must watch that show and listen to his conclusion as well. It was gold.
And that's what it's done to him still in 5 years.
Wait till he gets 10 years in. He'll be worse than me. If he's there at 5 years, in 10 years, he's finished. But yeah, unbelievable. What Michael said yesterday it was hilarious as well. Good entertainment. Spurs U says, I would have had respect for Conte had he called Levy out, but Conte blamed the players mostly. I disagree with you. He's the only manager that said, and I'm going to repeat what he said, 20 years of winning nothing, same owners. But why? He absolutely buried the owners. He questioned the players for not liking playing under pressure. He questioned the coach. He called out everyone. And that's essentially what he was saying is, Levy and Enoch have created a culture where no one plays under pressure here. No one likes going out of their comfort zone and going that next step. And that's kind of what he was saying. But look, if your interpretation is different, then fair play.
Still, I don't think it's.
I knew Mads was going to say something like this. I just knew Mads was going to say something.
Oh, yeah.
Go for it.
It's. I don't think there is a different interpretation of what he was saying. I think that what Conte said is absolutely apt in reference to many different facets of the club. As you said, Levy's built that culture whereby everyone feels safe in their own little bubble, where they don't have the pressure of having to perform to win something, to achieve something. And Conte alluded to that when he said, one owner, one cup in 20 years. Why?
Go and get a different manager if you want.
On another level, we know that Conte had big fallings out with them in the dressing room, right? And the players didn't, they couldn't handle Conte effectively dressing them down. And I know from my experience when I was playing sport when I was younger, if the coach gave us a dressing down, you took that to heart and you wanted to prove him wrong. Whereas these players, they're just down tools, right? And we've seen that not only with Conte, but we saw that under Jose, we saw that under Pochettino, we saw that under not so much Redknapp, because Redknapp got sacked, didn't he, for other reasons, but we've seen that with so many other managers. And on every level, Conte was absolutely correct in his assessment. And I've listened to that that whole 20-minute thing recently, and the more you listen to it, the more layers there is to it, and the more that he's absolutely correct in his assessment of the club, and he knows exactly what he's doing and what he's saying. He's a very intelligent man, Conte, when he says things, and he doesn't say things by accident. He absolutely does not say things by accident.
Yeah, he knew exactly what he was doing when he said that. It's just whether fans look. The funny thing is about what Conte said. Every fan, Levy in, Levy out, whoever,
knew exactly what he meant.
They all agreed with it. They all said, if you went on those YouTube,
they knew exactly what he meant, though.
Yeah, they did. They knew exactly what he said. Maz, you wanted to get
Maz, you're 100% right about the culture that's been built there, because we saw that even in the Amazon documentary, right? When like Danny Rose was like, I don't know, he was questioning something or whatever. I'll go and speak to Daniel. Right? That's the type of thing that he's created there. Whereas
and to give even more credence to Conte, you saw it in what Hugo Lloris said in his comments, and it all there wasn't any part of what Conte said that was inaccurate, or even unfair. I still believe to this day the best way for Tottenham to have handled that, and Daniel Levy, is the complete opposite of what they actually done. Is what, if Levy wanted to be really clever, what he should have said to him is, Conte, you're right. I will back you. Tell me what we need to do to fix this.
Prove me wrong.
Right? Yeah. Right. And then that way, you're saying to the fans, look, we take what he says very seriously, and we do want to win, and we do want to be successful, and we will back this manager because he's a proven winner. Right? But what we've done is what everyone else traditionally thought we should do is, well, he's dissed our club, so we need to get rid of him. No, if you really wanted to break the cycle, that was the point in time where he needed to do it. That was when he could have said, you know what, right? Fine. I'm listening. Tell me what we need to do to change it. But he didn't.
Because that's not the most important thing, Maz.
Because it meant that the club would actually have to 100% back a manager, and 100% backing a manager is against the ethos of this club, because it means now they've got to be serious about success. Tommy, there's a lot of feedback. I'm just going to put you on mute because it's crackling a lot. I don't know what it is. Maybe reset the computer or... Yeah. It's really bad. Reset it and I'll bring you back in. Good to see Tommy back, by the way. The original Hotspur hood before Dan took over the channel. So Tommy's a legend on YouTube. Look, I want to get onto Andrew's comments, but before we do, there's something I just want to quickly address because I can see it in the comments a lot, and I'm just going to speak on it very briefly, and I'm not going to go deep on it. I don't care what Sean Butler has to say. I'm not interested in what he has to say. My position is the same it was 6 months ago, a year ago, 2 years ago. I will debate him on this channel, on his channel, on anyone else's channel. He's the one that's saying no. He's the one that's chicken out of it. I can see some of you come in the comments tonight to try and wind up and shit stir. Guys, I'm far better than you've been able to shit stir. If Sean wants to debate, I'm ready here tomorrow, next week, whenever. He's the one that's saying no. If he wants to create lies and personal attacks, misleading information to cover the fact that he's too coward, doesn't have what it takes to debate me on the subject, that's on him. And that's exactly what it is. He's too chicken to do it because either he's scared of what other people will think, or I will bring it to the table and he doesn't know how to handle that kind of a debate. It's up to him. So I'm going to leave it there. Please don't bring it up in the comments anymore because my position's the same it's always been with him whenever he's ready. Okay. So Angie's comments. Maz, you can tell us what his comments were because you decided to bring it up.
Oh, no, I can't. My memory's awful, mate. I need you to.
Well, look, essentially, his comments yesterday was along the lines of he's saying he hasn't got the squad. So now he's either blaming squad depth or the caliber of players. Now, I find this rich coming from Man at the end. Now, look, Ian always said, don't listen to what he says. It's bullshit, right? The guy chats shit, which is kind of why we've taken the stance of calling him a yes man. It's like yes to this, yes to that. You're towing the corporate line, which is why we feel he won't be successful. Well, I feel he won't be successful because a yes man doesn't work at Spurs. You need to break the mold, the monotonous formula of failure, which means you've got to go against the way the club wants to do it. And he essentially said yes and sanctioned Werner, Gray and Bergvall. They were all fit, all available and in the squad yesterday. They all played at some point and we failed with them. So it's very difficult to listen to a manager now say, I haven't got the squad. But these are the players you brought in the summer. Other than Solanke, they're all here. They were all fit.
Yeah.
So how can he say that unless actually you didn't mean that you're happy with the transfer window when you said you were? And when you sanctioned these signings, you didn't mean that you sanctioned them. The club sanctioned them and you had to do as you were told. Something doesn't add up here because, like I said, we signed 5 players in the summer. 1 comes in January. The other one was ill. 3 of them were all fit and available and they played yesterday. And we didn't look at all good against Fulham. We did not look good at all yesterday against the mighty Fulham. 15,000-seater Craven Cottage Massive came to the Spurnabell, the £1 billion game changer, and they played us off the park. They literally played us off the park yesterday. Iwobi looked like Messi. Iwobi.
Let me come on to that.
We haven't got better than Iwobi at Spurs. It's mad.
First of all, can I just repeat what I said last night? It was a load of rubbish about we've got the midfield players we want. He was after Gallagher the whole summer. It's well documented in the press. Long after the Graham Bergvall deals had been tied up. He was after Gallagher for a good couple of months after those deals were done. So it's just nonsense. It was just face saving. In terms of, you mentioned the kids played. When you say they played, neither of them have started, and he's got to start playing these kids soon because Udogie and Porro look like they've just been run off their feet at the moment. They're just exhausted. Fulham's not that far off as well, and we've got 8 games coming up in the next 26 days.
Ian, my point about the kids was that he brought these players in to be part of the squad. The squad that he said, I want to challenge for the title. I win trophies in my second season. He brings on these players that he brought into the squad. We've got 15 minutes. They're down to 10 men. We're a bigger and better club. I brought into this squad. Let's go and win it. And nothing changed. And then he complains about the squad after the game as his, they gave their all. I've got problems with my squad. It's not quite there.
Let me
contradicts you.
Can I just answer that? Sorry, do you mind, Maz?
Ian, back to you then to Maz.
Let me just answer that. Firstly, he was given a budget plus money from sales. He spent all that money. So he can turn around and say, for what he's been given, he's spent it all, so he's been backed. That's one way of looking at it. The proper way of looking at it is that if you want to build a team that's going to challenge for trophies, then you are X amount of top players short, and you've got to spend a lot more than the money that was spent in the summer. So they weren't booked. They weren't backed. The team, the manager was not backed. not backed properly. He might have spent all the money that was made available to him, but he hasn't been backed. And now it's coming home to roost. You know, we got 8 players. We had 8 players missing yesterday out of 25, 26. So you got a third of your squad missing.
But Ian, when we beat Man City 4-0, Man United 3-0, Aston Villa 4-1, why don't fans say in those games, Ange hasn't been backed, Ange wasn't backed? Why does Ange come out and not say, I don't have the squad, it's a miracle we won today? None of that gets said. But when we lose, he's not backed, he hasn't got the squad. This can't keep happening at Spurs.
Let's discuss it afterwards, because that's a slightly different argument. But I'm going to read what he said, and I'm going to read every sentence or paragraph that he said, and show what an absolute liar he is. Right? He goes, "We just could not push on. We tried to get momentum late in the game when they were down to 10 men. We just couldn't get it done. But you took off Maddison. Why did you take off Maddison? Right? Why did you put on kids to try and turn the game around? You know, why are we passing it out from the back when we should be going for it and being more direct into the box?" Right? So that's a bullshit statement. He goes, "I know people used," in the brackets, he goes, the win at Man City as a reference point, "but I was able to put on Johnson and Werner and had Vicario in goal. I know people are looking for easy targets, but what the players are having to deal with is self-evident. But you built the squad, mate. You built the squad. So, and you're the one who signed Werner and Johnson, right? And the reason why people are citing City, right, is because that was the only bit of success that we had that was incredibly positive. That you could maybe argue that it wasn't a fluke because he changed the tactics for that game, right? But he's complaining about it. That he's complaining that the journalists are saying to him, how come we can't play at Man City? And then he's using the players that he brought in and the squad he built as the excuse, and saying that feel sorry for me because I don't have everyone available.
But apart from,
hold on. I'm gonna finish the thing, right? Because we're going to protect our players. We don't have many options, so we'll manage them as best as we can. Really, you've been flogging Porro, right? That whole game, he should have been subbed off at half time. Son, he shouldn't even been playing.
He had
right?
Spence on the bench, right? So
yeah, he had Spence on the bench, right? Ian raised his point up yesterday.
Yeah.
You know, he's got a £40 million kid he could have put on if he really was desperate to give players a rest. What is he talking about? He's talking absolute nonsense, right? You know, he's ostracized Reguilon, right, out of the squad, right? Yeah, right. If he was that bad, right, then why not just cancel his contract? Levy's done it before. You know, it's nonsense. He goes,
don't have him on the bench. Don't have him
exactly.
on the bench. He's an option.
Right?
And what's crazy was that Reguilon did well at United. He did well at Brentford. It's just completely ignored. You know, you're talking about 2 Premier League clubs here. You're not talking about going to Plymouth or Orient for a loan deal. He went to United and Brentford.
Exactly. It goes, I've had questions about the Man City games. In 7 days, we have copped some significant blows. We can't play like we did against City in every game. Mate, you've never played like you did against City apart from that game. What are you talking about? Like, the guy thinks we're mugs. Honestly, he's mugging everyone off. Because with this club, everything we do well is used as a millstone to bring us down at every opportunity. Yeah, because that's what we expect, you retard. It's like, honestly, sorry, I shouldn't have used that word, right? But, you know, of course we're going to use the positives as a millstone to grind against him, because that's what we expect, because we had such an up and down season.
But how can we expect, this is what I don't get with him. How can we go to Man City and beat them 4-0, right? Respect them as a club, do what needs to be done to get a result there, but then bring Fulham to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium and just do the gung-ho and think, yeah, it'll just work. Even though it didn't work against Ipswich. It didn't work against other teams already. You can see where it doesn't work. The one thing that we had, which was a positive, was our home form. Everyone was pissing on our away form. Well, guess what? Ipswich and Fulham have just made a massive dent in that home form. So now we haven't got that. We are just as bad at home as we were away. Don't, as I say, I didn't watch the City game, right? For whatever reason. Wasn't it pretty much the same team apart from Solanke that, apart from Kulu not starting at City?
Vicario, not
Apart
that
from
made
Vicario, but
Forster was excellent.
So why can't we do the same against Fulham that we did at City? Unless he's saying, well, if I have one player out or two players out, then it makes my team a 20% team rather than an 80% team.
Lee.
But you bought the players; they've got to be comparable. Otherwise, you're basically just saying, I've got a great team and I've got a crap team, and they don't work. You have to have people that are replacements.
After Roma, when we did the post-match Roma show, I said on that, when we did the conversation about the Roma 2-2 draw, I said that my concern playing Fulham is that we've now played 2 games in a row in 4 days, and in 3 days we've got to go play Fulham. So it'll be 3 games in a week. Fulham haven't played for a week. They're going to come fresh. They're going to be angry after losing by 4 goals to Wolves. They're going to want to bounce back. They're going to rectify that, and they're going to come to Spurs with purpose. My concern is we go into this game looking tired and a bit lethargic. We went into that game, and Fulham definitely had more energy than us. Everything that I said I was worried about, because we haven't got the players to rotate, and Ange doesn't trust half the players that he's chosen to keep. Maz mentioned one, Spence, for example. He doesn't do it. If the players are knackered, start Archie Gray, start Bergvall, start Lancashire as the striker. If he's the only striker we've got, you've got to do it. Otherwise, what's the point of having him in the squad? What wound me up the most, and literally, I sat there with my football coach's hat on, very basic level football coaching. I couldn't understand how for 90 minutes, not a 15-minute patch, not a 20-minute patch, but for 90 minutes, we gave them all the space in the world out wide. They kept double-upping on the wide areas. And rather than overlapping, they underlapped, and then they fed the ball, and then the underlapping run inverted outwards, received the ball exactly how Iwobi set up the equaliser, exactly like that. They were doing that the whole game. And for 90 minutes, no one on the coaching staff, Ange, anyone said, look what they're doing. Look at the space we're giving them. Shut that down. You've got to shut it down, because what we're doing is not working, and what they're doing is working, and nothing's changing. 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 60 minutes. Extra time with 10 men. They're still doing it. Wilson ran the length of the pitch, skinned Davis in that space, and then pulled it back. Luckily, Dragusin was in the right place to clear it. Otherwise, they had a guy there to tap it in. And I'm sitting there watching this as a coach thinking, I know how to fix that. I know how to nullify this. And nothing happened. So as much as we are blaming the players for not being good enough, or the transfer window and Levy not backing it, that is on the manager. That one thing, that is all on Ange. So when he comes out and says, I haven't got the squad, mate, it's not the squad that gave all that space and your inability to stop the underlapping runs. That's not the squad.
He built the squad, though.
He had 90
he built the squad. But still, this is how bad he is as a manager. I know, but
against Man City that never happened because he set us up right. Why not do that again? It worked.
Listen, if we hadn't have sat here since the beginning of the season having this exact conversation about other matches, about the fact that we could see what he was doing wrong, what he needed to do to fix it, I'd agree with you. But you can make an excuse for 4 days of 2 games in 4 days or whatever it was still. But we've had this exact conversation about other matches where that hasn't been the case. And it all leads back to exactly what you've just said. It's him, his decisions, substitutions, starting players, playing players that may not be up to scratch. And it's this exactly the same. We're having exactly the same conversations every time.
He's such a poor manager. He's surrounded himself with kids as coaches, or coaches that are striving to level themselves up. But the problem when you do that, right, is he doesn't have an experienced voice saying to him, Ange, we need to fix this.
Maz,
Right? He doesn't have any characters.
Maz, they don't listen to it. He doesn't listen to them.
Well, yeah, and that's
I think
a
he's just that
sign of a
stubborn.
bad manager.
I really
not
think
sure.
he's that stubborn. But he
I'm
will.
not-
But Maz, this is my point.
I agree
This
with
is my
Ian.
point to
There
you.
must be one
Tell me
coach
why he's
that
a good
says-
manager.
There must be
Tell me
one
why he's a good
coach-
manager.
But
Sorry?
Lee,
Tell me
Ryan
why he's a good
Mason's-
manager.
Ryan Mason's
What is
UEFA
a
B.
good
Shedden
manager?
UEFA B.
No, hold on,
They
Stel. Hold
compete-
on. You've just said that's the sign of a good manager. Right?
No, I said that's a sign of a poor manager.
Yeah, or a poor manager. But
Yeah.
But this is my point. Who's ever said that he's a good manager? Show me one example of why he's actually a good manager in the first place.
The media have said it. I
Exactly.
haven't said it.
The
So-
media have sold him as something that he's not.
Outclassed and outmaneuvered Guardiola at the Etihad.
yeah.
But this is my point. We know he can do it. He gives respect to Man City and changes his ways for Man City, but
We're
no
all
one
guilty.
else.
Lee, we're all guilty. In the first 10 games, we were all super impressed with Ange, right? And Stella on many occasions said, if we just give Ange what he needs, I feel he's a good manager. I don't feel he's a bad manager, right? I know I say he's absolute rubbish and all that. I mean, in context of what we've had in the past, I don't think he's better than Martin Jol, Harry Redknapp, Pochettino, Jose Conte. Certainly not better than any of those guys as managers. Right, so from that perspective, I think he's a shit manager. He's one of our shitter managers that we've had in the last 20 years, 100%. Right now, I would expect a coach to surround himself with enough people that can challenge his views, or at least have the balls to go up to him and say, "Coach, I can see them inverting or whatever Still said, inverting the revert." Right on the wings.
It's an underlap. You've got an overlap and an underlap.
Right.
And they were underlapping.
On the wings, we need to fix that, boss.
A revert.
Right, and
Like that.
yeah, I don't know. right. We need to fix that, boss. And him saying, I don't know, patting Ryan Mason on the head like a little dog and saying, "Well done, boy, thank you." Right, and then him making the change. Right, but he doesn't. He just stands there with his arms crossed, and then the only time he gets really animated is when it's a refereeing decision, or if he sees one player at a random position pass it back, then he loses his marbles.
He did have a go at
But this is my issue with him then. He's either stubborn, and the first day he's walked in there, he said, "Boys, this is how we're doing it. There's no change. We are literally sticking to our guns no matter what." And no one's got the balls to question him about it. But I'll be honest with you, some of the way that the players are reacting or the way that they're playing sounds to me like they're not bought into it. They're not bought into this way of thinking.
Let me bring Ian in. Quick super chat. Big up from Boise. Our fans go to the same restaurant ordering the same menu that tastes like cat food and never complains, but keep on returning eating the same shite. That's a great way of describing the last 3 decades of Enoch and Levy, no doubt. Big up to you. Yeah, Ian, you wanted to jump in on this.
Well, yes, someone I spoke to who sits behind the dugouts said, they hear the coaches say to him on occasions, "Change this is happening, that's happening." They get no response.
He's just stubborn in his ways, and
he does it his way. His way. He's not interested. His way. He's the boss. He does it his way. So, I think that Mason and the other coaches would do a far better job. They know the players. They would do a far better job with
I think that's one thing that's important, is the fact that there is really no one there of vast experience, is there, in terms of coaching? Because he has Ryan Mason, all right, he's obviously been at Spurs for a little while, but in terms of coaching and kind of seeing football at different clubs, etc., Jedinak's really, really new, isn't he? And then they went and got some guy from Scotland who didn't he get bounced out from Dundee United or something.
Hibernian, but JP, you can have people that come in with little experience. The Brighton manager's not doing badly. Nagelsmann came in, he started coaching at 28, 29. Pretty good.
Do you remember when Poch was manager? He had his team, those his
There
little
was a
team.
forum, wasn't there? There was a
Yeah.
forum.
And they were always, the camera would zoom on dugout and they'd all be kind of crowded around a piece of paper or an iPad and they'd be discussing, talking. And then Conte, he had his boys and he'd turn around to me, speak to them, they'd speak back to him. Even Mourinho had that sidekick, that young Portuguese guys that he brought in. And you saw in the Amazon documentary the communication between them on match day and that. And always seems to stand there like a lonely figure, never engaging with the coaches. And I see that quite often. So I would look, without having any evidence, I would tend to believe what Ian's saying here and say that our coaches, their job is coach them in training, on match day, just shush.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how it feels. I think Ian,
But that's almost not.
I agree with you.
That is literally not a good manager, is it? Like, a good manager doesn't do that. A good manager has to understand other people's views,
JP,
take some suggestions on board.
It
You
doesn't
can't-
matter
Good manager-
what walk of life
Good
you're
manager develops his coaches and builds a team where they all communicate, but it's to them. I should be developing those coaches if I'm better. And yeah, I should be listening to them because they're going to point things out that I just miss. That's the whole point of it. So
Can't
yeah, you're
see
right.
everything.
You're right.
Still,
It doesn't
you
matter
mentioned
what walk of life it is, do you? It doesn't matter what it is, managing football clubs,
job.
managing finance firm, managing whatever. You always get everyone's input and views because you don't know something that could potentially work if you don't know what that idea is. It's about having a team around you because you can't always see your own failure. You need someone to point it out. And if that's
Correct.
what he is doing, oh my God.
You know,
Sorry, he's
you
not
said
going to
the
get anywhere.
I think the press guys are pointing out every week, Lee. He's not taking it on board, as Ian said.
I think still, you mentioned about Poch. He sits down with his analysts at half time, goes through all the stats, looks at all the trends for the first half for about 5 minutes before going in and talking to the players. That's how organised he is. And it's such a drop-off. This is such a drop-off from someone like Pochettino. And yes, before people start coming in, oh, he won us nothing. Well, nobody's won us anything for the last God knows how long, apart from Ramos. So,
Came the closest.
sorry?
I think Poch made us the most
Yeah.
competitive at the highest level that we've seen.
Absolutely.
At the highest level, winning a Premier League, winning a Champions League, he made us the most competitive we've ever seen the club since, what, the 60s, the 80s?
Probably since the 91 team, because they finished third, didn't they, I think, that year. But having said that, in terms of actually challenging and being sort of around the top two, probably the first time since the year after the double, I think, where Spurs blew. If Spurs hadn't have lost to Burnley, I think in March, they could well have done the double 2 years running.
And
So,
kind of again with that, still just going on from that, is like I still don't understand why people don't make a bigger fuss about it. Why fans don't make a bigger fuss about it. I don't understand.
I don't know what fans are scared of when it comes to the ownership. This is why I don't protest anymore, because it's pointless. It's pointless. Fans just the appetite for it just does. It's not there. But then, as soon as everything goes wrong, and wasn't backed. So, it's hypocrisy. EdX, big it up to you. Big up to the members of the panel. Much respect for everyone's honesty, analysis, and tone. Thank you for being part of the channel as well. EdX, big up to you.
Still, do you think Ange has got any chance of being a success? Let's take what he does and everything to do with his management out of the equation for a minute. Let's just talk about Ange, whether when he goes, you bring in whoever you bring in, Potter, Southgate, whoever, Kieran McKenna, whoever it is. Do you think any of them have got a chance under these owners, with these owners? They haven't got a hope in hell. You look at this summer was all about bringing the wage bill down. So how are you actually building to challenge when you're bringing the wage bill down? You've cleared 16, 17 out. You bought 4 kids out of 5 on lower wages. You've lost you've lost more more than the 4 guys that they're going to get transfer fees on, who will skip themselves, so Højbjerg and Emerson. You know, Perisic has gone out the door, amongst others. You know, and how are you going? Yeah, I don't know how. I don't know how he's meant to feel.
That's for the fan base.
Ian,
That's for the fan base to recognise and take action on, though. That's on the fan
Indeed.
base to.
But how does any manager face with that, where you sell 4 established players, get rid of 1 or 2 others on freeze, end of contracts, whatever, you bring in 1 player who isn't.
Well, Pochettino said it in his.
But he's not like a Kane or like an Osimhen or this one or that one.
Ian, Pochettino said quite a few times in his tenure at Spurs that we need to be very clever in the transfer window, right? And considering that Daniel Levy, in terms of just outright numbers, has spent more, certainly in the last 5 years, than what he has done in the past, we've just spent the money so poorly. And I think that is a result of them putting lots of different conditions around the managers that are coming in, where they can't just go out and buy the players that they want, even if they are cheap, because you know, if it's not that the transfer fee, it will be the way the deal's structured, or if it's not the way the deal's structured, it will be the salary, or if you see what I mean. There's always be an excuse. Like, there was players out there in this window that we could have gone and got for cheaper money than what Gray cost, and it would have made a bigger difference to our team. So my question is, why haven't they done that? What is the reason? Why haven't they gone and got, I don't know, a Locatelli, whatever, for that 20 million euros, but they're willing to go and spend 50 million euros on Gray?
Nothing to do with Gray. He wanted Gallagher. If Gallagher has said
no,
yes,
but
Spurs
forget
would have
about
bought
Gallagher. I'm just saying.
Maz, I'm answering you. Spurs would have bought Gallagher as well as Gray. If Neto had wanted to come to Spurs, then Neto would have joined Tottenham as well as Odegaard. The money was there,
but
Ange didn't.
Ian, you're missing my point.
Gallagher was running up a blind alley from day one, but he wouldn't be told, evidently.
You're missing my point. My point is why spend such vast amounts of money on unproven players when you could have equally spent less amount of money on better players that had more pedigree than them? That is the question.
No, should have done both.
Fine, but
should have done both. End of. Because in a club as big as Tottenham, you buy for today and you buy for tomorrow. What are we? A tiny little club now? I mean, it's seriously such a small.
Spending £40 million on Gray.
Hang on. We had a net spend of about 20 million this year when you took wages into account. 20 million. Come on, that's nothing.
Ian, spending £40 million on Gray, I don't think is a good investment for the future.
Well, it was 25 because Rodon was thrown in as well. But regardless of that, number one, the price was forced up by Brentford. Number two, you pay an English tax on English players. They cost that much more, unfortunately. I mean, tell me how Gray's not worth 40. How is Solanke worth 65? Where they should have bought cleverly was someone like Cole Palmer at 40 million. What a great buy that is.
Precisely.
Let me tell you why, Maz. Because Levy buying a kid at 40 million and then paying him whatever he's on, they can control the narrative when it comes to wages. They can say £40,000 a week, or 35,000 plus you'll get an extra 5 in appearances or something like that, right? They can control the cost. Whereas with a player that costs 20 million, but they're a proven player in a league somewhere, they've got all the negotiating power. You want my services? Yeah. I'm on £200,000 a week. I'm on bonuses for how many goals I score. That's exactly what Levy is doing. And it's simple as that.
And there you go.
So there you go. What chance has Ange or any other manager got?
None.
And this is why I was, and I said this a few times, and I got pushback from everyone. This is why you need a manager right? That is like Conte and Jose, where they can't be bullied around, because that's the only chance we've got of anyone doing anything at this club.
I think that old type of guard though is really few and far between now, Maz. I really do. I think a lot of the managers are young, up and coming managers. You look at all the people that we've put on note of who we'd like to come here. Have they got any kind of presence to go up against Levy? I don't think so. I think Conte was probably one of the last old ones that we'd ever get through the door that's done it.
But I'm sure
there's
other
then
managers
we as a
out
fan
there.
base, we as a fan base need to be the ones that make the demands that that transfer window is unacceptable for the prices we pay, the season ticket fees, the rising costs of food, beverages, and merch. What you are asking from us to give you, that is unacceptable as a transfer window. It's untenable for us to continue like this and take action. This is why I said I blame the fans. This is on the fans, because we are saying it's okay to do that.
We're in a minority still. We're in a minority. The majority are accepting the situation. It's like Stockholm syndrome.
Why should Levy carry on? I mean, like, why should he go out and pay big bucks for players? He would just kick the can down the road, get another manager in 18 months' time, and just regurgitate it. No one's going to make a big thing of it.
JP, I think we're a little bit guilty in the language that we use. Spending money is not our problem. It's the way we're distributing the money, right? And the way we're balancing.
I've said that many a time.
I can't remember who said it, whether it was Ian or whether it was Lee. It's the restrictions that they put on spending that money, Maz.
Yeah, no, I know we've said it, but what I mean is when we say statements like JP, I know I'm nitpicking here, but when we say things like, well, he's not going to go out and spend the big money. Well, we already spend the big money, but we just spend it wrongly. So
you're right.
It's such an odd dichotomy, honestly. I've never seen. I can't believe that we're running this way.
When we signed Richarlison, most of us are like, "What the hell?" But there's way too many that are like, "You got to trust it. He's been backed." When we signed Solanke, I was so underwhelmed. When we signed Solanke, I said, "That's the striker we're signing," but so many fans defended it. When we signed Werner for the second time, I went nuts. I couldn't have been more angry and put it out there for everyone to see.
Explain this to me.
Like, calm down. Just wait and see what it looks like by the end of the window. You just want to moan about something.
Explain this one to me, Stel. Right? On We Are Tottenham TV, right? I think it was during the January transfer window last year. Solanke came up, right? And the lads there went, "Nah, we don't want Solanke. He's not good enough for Spurs." Right? That was their conclusion. Not good enough for Spurs. We don't want him. Obviously, he comes in this summer, and all of a sudden, like, yeah, he's a perfect man for Spurs. He's a perfect man for this, that, and the other. So you're telling me,
so many,
right? Yeah. So why has that happened? Why can the whole fan base change their mind in that period?
No, it's people just want to get behind the players and the team. I genuinely think that. Yeah, I honestly think. Listen, they've got no choice. Fans have got no choice which players come into the club.
But just having blind loyalty doesn't get you anywhere.
Hold on, Ian. But fans do have a choice to get behind it. I don't back it. I do not get behind it. I look at these players. Let me show you something, right?
But I just want to say something. But
it's on this subject. Look at this starting lineup. Look at this starting lineup and look at the bench.
I need to say it still before.
Is this worthy of the most expensive season tickets in world football? Is this worthy?
Absolutely not.
So it is on the fans because they've accepted that because we want to back that. We should be rebelling against that. Go on, Maz. Sorry.
On that point, we just wanting to back the club and the players is, I think, is a little bit too short-sighted, because as an example, I love eating food, right? I can eat loads of food, right, and I'll get fat, right? And I could be like, yeah, but eating loads of food makes me happy. That's all I want to be. Is I want to be happy and eat loads of food. Yeah, but it's going to kill me in the end, right? And it's the same thing in this scenario. Yes, we want to back our team. Yes, we want to back our players, but we only want to back them when they're worthy to be backed. And it's making us go towards a goal that we all want, which is to win a trophy and to compete. But the players that we're signing are antithetical to that. Therefore, we shouldn't just back them for the sake of backing them.
I agree. I was 100% behind Poch's team. I was never Enoch Levy out during the Poch era. I was nothing like this. But when I started seeing the Danjumas, the Rodons, the Dohertys, these youngsters we've signed who we have no idea whether they're going to be good or not, Werner twice, Davies still at the club, I cannot back it. But Ian, you're right. There are fans that just want to back it and they just want to get behind it. But by doing that, don't you think they are facilitating the problem, Ian? Don't you think that they are now encouraging the problem to manifest even further?
Well, just going back to what I said earlier, still talking about the fans, and they've been brainwashed. They've been Levy-washed.
Levy-washed. I like Levy-washed.
Levy-washed.
You know, someone said to me today, can you imagine the fan base at one of the northern powerhouses accepting what Spurs fans accept?
No chance.
It wouldn't happen.
No chance.
I mean, even, Everton, look how they march around the grounds. Look how they put the banners up. I mean, I was at Goodison in February, and they were complaining about the Premier League, and that there were anti-Premier League banners, flags, whatever, around the whole ground. Spurs fans are just not. They just don't seem. Not enough of them are interested. Not enough of them are prepared to say, guys, this is not acceptable, because so many of them have hardly seen a trophy, so their expectations are just not. Their expectations are so much lower now, and that suits the ownership, because they are pushing more and more into non-football activities. Football's becoming less and less importance at the club.
It's 100%.
They earn. The guy, the Palamine went on a stadium tour the other week, and one of the things that the guy who was talking at the compere for the tour said, that they earn 5 times more for an individual NFL game than for any home match any football home match at Spurs.
Mate, the beer prices are jacked up.
5 times. Beer goes up. They had plastic flags or something. There was something that was plastic, and someone I know was there, and he actually said to them, 60 quid for this. They sold out the whole lot. The whole lot, piece of plastic. They go and they spend money. They are allowed alcohol in the seats. You've got 9 hours from start to finish with these NFL games. They are drinking for 9 hours. The beers are like 11, 12 quid. The food's off the scale, the prices. They are earning a fortune. They don't take any money from tickets. I think they go to the clubs, but Spurs get a percentage of the TV rights. They get food and drink, and they get the merchandise money. And they are earning, if it's 5 million or 6 million for a home match at Spurs, then it's 25 to 30 million per game for NFL. Double that, which is 2 games. I'm sure the aim is to get a franchise. That's why that's why they want to build up right where
it's a matter of time before we have an NFL Tottenham Tornadoes.
The dressing rooms in the East Stand are 2.5 times the size of the football dressing rooms, because there are 55 players for each team. I mean, that you talk about a squad. We have 25. They have 55 for each match.
Yeah, half our fan base will become NFL fans and go and support the Levy Leopards, the Hotspur Hurricanes.
There'll be a season ticket, won't there? A joint season ticket.
Yeah. season
Football
ticket
and
holders, would you also like
NFL.
for an extra £1,000 the NFL package? And yeah. Got a super chat from Edix. What about the funds Tottenham Hotspur doesn't spend? Training staff, scouting, analysis, and support staff. It's behind the scenes stuff that's important too. Yep, 100% agree, and that's all questionable. Lennart, you say the Villa, Newcastle, etc., other fan bases are on our levels. They would accept that.
Newcastle wouldn't. Look at Ashley.
Yeah, they were further down than us, I guess. But but this bit here where you say our fan base isn't at the caliber of United, Liverpool, and Chelsea. But here's the thing: this new stadium promised us to be that level. The prices we pay were to fund that level. This was the game changer. But the only game it's changed is the wealth of the owners, and our game has changed in the wrong direction. We were supposed to be there. And we're far from it. We're far worse than what we were with Potter in the old stadium.
Mugged off. Absolutely mugged off.
Big time.
Lena's post is spot on. Absolutely spot on. They care more. The fans are more passionate about success at their club. Chelsea.
Oh, right. They
are in terms of the last 25, 30 years in Chelsea and United and Liverpool, the two biggest teams in England. And their history is absolutely, the traditional history is fantastic. I mean, it puts us in the shade, as we all know. They won 20 league, 20 Premier League and Football League championships. They demand success from their club, and their fans. Our fans should be like their fans. Used to be. You had 5,000-6,000 outside the main gates chanting sugar outs. I know you didn't have social media, and the guy that organised it had contacts in the press, and he maximised that. Fans today, a lot of the fans don't give a toss. Don't give a toss.
Like I said earlier, Ian, Levy's done a masterclass in psyoping the fans over the 25 years. He's slowly changed the fan base to divide us and not want to take action. And society's changed as well. Let's be honest about that. There isn't that want to protest. But then again, you could easily say, well, look at Everton and look at Liverpool and Man United, and when they get pissed off with stuff, even Arsenal, that they did it. But
let's talk about finance now, Maz.
Well, this is it.
Fans have an argument now about finance rather than football and the football players and winning something.
Do you know what it is, guys? We talk about, well, he's not worth that. Shouldn't have paid 65 for him. Shouldn't have paid 40 for him. What's important is not what the club pay for the player. What's important is that the club buy the right players for the football team. I don't give it. It makes no difference to my life if Archie Gray's bought for 40, 30, 20 or 10. None whatsoever. I actually don't give a damn. If he's right for the club long term and we've got him in front of other people, then fantastic. But for me, it's all about getting the right player. If he costs 5 million like Dele Alli, fantastic. If he costs 100 million like Arsenal paid for Declan Rice, fantastic. It doesn't matter. All I want are the right players on the pitch and for me to go and see the team be successful. What they spend is totally irrelevant.
And that's how it should be.
The club's never going to go bust. It's not like Leeds in the early 2000s when they went mad spending God knows what, and you didn't have the Sky money and all the TV money, all the merchandise, everything that comes in today. Clubs are not going to go bust. Everton possibly have been the closest because they just went berserk. They just spent and spent and spent with no, everything was for today. You got to look at tomorrow, and they just went mad with. But apart from that, you've got to be pretty stupid, which Everton have been, to actually go to get anywhere near going bust, being a Premier League team with the money that's coming in today. And
this is the educational piece. Taking that education narrative, he's got, rather than our are great players that are still in the media saying, we're Tottenham Hotspur. We're about the glory. We're about winning. We're about doing cup runs. They're not. For the life of me, I cannot understand why Perryman is not speaking up on this stuff. It breaks my heart, right?
They're not allowed.
That
They're not
that
allowed
Mr.
because
Tottenham Hotspur can't say what he would have said in the past,
they get blocked from going into this
yeah,
certain
but
players.
I know,
part
Stel, I know why they don't say it, but this is what I was
they should rebel against
getting
it.
at
I get it.
earlier.
They should fight
Yeah.
against it. They should. I agree. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. You're right.
I mean, even
Bill-
Hoddle's saying
Right.
it, but then maybe Hoddle, now he's in the media, is a little bit too powerful to block from the stadium because he can make a ruckus out of it. Maybe.
Bill Nicholson will be turning in
Yeah,
his
yeah.
grave at what this club has become. Just-
And I'd like to think he'd be angry at the fans for allowing it.
But Ian,
Bill
Perryman's
Nicholson
from that era.
would probably give these two a proper a grilling, absolute grilling.
Slap round the chops.
Yeah. Look, boys, ladies, gents, everyone. Let's. I just want to jump onto the Premier League itself. This is the league table. Anyone watching, please smash a like. By the way, subscribe, notification bell, all the good
Do
stuff.
it.
So as it stands, Liverpool top of the league, 9 points ahead of Arsenal, joint with Chelsea. So it looks, the way it's looking at the moment, the title race is going to be Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea. They're the informed teams. They've got the least amount of losses. Brighton, dark horses for top four. They're now fourth. City, I think it's fair to say that the gap between them and Liverpool is probably one step too far, and they do look like they're in some kind of crisis now. Their defending is shocking. That defense is just in pieces. So I think it's fair to say those three teams, Liverpool, Arsenal, and Chelsea, are the ones that will be challenging for the title. And then it's Brighton, City, probably Tottenham, a resurgent United, probably Newcastle and Villa, if they get their act together, will be battling for fourth place. Now, a lot of fans will say, look, we're only 3 points off of fourth place. But at the same time, we're only 3 points off of 14th. So it can go either way. And the reason I say that is because our next game is Bournemouth away, who have built a reputation of being a very difficult customer at home. No one really wants to play them there. And then we've got our bogey team Chelsea coming to our ground, which history tells us something's going to go badly wrong. So if and I'm thinking worst case now, if we lose both games, suddenly we're not 3 points off top. We could be 9 and we could be languishing 13th, 14th. And then after that, we've got to go to Southampton away and then Liverpool. So one of those games you kind of feel could go wrong. So we should be beating Southampton away, but we couldn't beat Palace and Ipswich. And I wouldn't be surprised if we gave Southampton their first win of the season. Best thing that happens is we go to Bournemouth, we grab a win, and then somehow we do something to Chelsea and get a draw or a win. And that actually puts us in quite a good position. When you think of those outcomes, this is where, as a Spurs fan, it becomes tricky because your brain says we're going to start with Bournemouth and we're going to lose to Chelsea and we're going to be below mid-table. But this manager has got a knack of pulling a big result out of his pocket when you least expect it. We all thought, oh no, it's Man United away. They're not informed, but Dr. Tottenham's turning up. We turned them over. We went to Man City. None of us predicted a win. None of us predicted a spanking. We did. And Aston Villa at home, we tore to pieces as well. I wouldn't be surprised if we go to Bournemouth and win 3-0, but I expect us to lose. And at Chelsea, I never predict a win because it's Chelsea. They're our bogey team. But that's a big game that for some weird reason Spurs do the business. So where are we at with these next 3 games? Because I think we're getting to a point now where Ange needs a win. He really needs to get a win. Otherwise, we're going to go 4. We've won 1 game in 5. We could go 1 game in 7 if we don't get a win in the next 2. And then if we don't win the next 2 as well, guys, we then have to go and play Glasgow Rangers, who have taken our place in the qualifying top 8, we've dropped out of it. If we don't win that, we're now risking going into a playoff and not the automatic qualification. You don't want to go to Ibrox off the back of 2 losses and 1 win in 7. That's just, confidence sapping up against it away day, which we don't want. So where are we at with these next 2 games, guys? Where,
I think Thursday. Sorry, go on, JP.
Go on, carry on.
Thursday.
Go on, Lee. Sorry.
Sorry, I was just going to say, listen, because we have been so inconsistent and results are just not going the way we expect them to go, I don't know how we predict this. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen at Bournemouth. I mean, I'd rather not play Bournemouth right now, especially at home. Chelsea look like they're playing pretty well as a team right now, and the way that we're playing, unless he gives them the same respect that he gives Man City, I don't see how we get a result out of that unless we just all turn up. I think I think if he loses these next 2 games, I think he's on thin ice. But that's just my opinion. I don't know where we get the results from. That's my issue with this season. I don't know where we get the results from.
Yeah, Ian, you talk about Thursday night.
Depends what team he picks.
Has he got much of a choice, Ian, at the moment?
Yeah, definitely.
It doesn't matter what team he picks. It doesn't.
I'll tell you why. No, Maz.
It doesn't matter.
You got. If you start putting fresh players in, you got a better chance than if someone's absolutely knackered out. That's obvious. I mean,
but how many different midfields have you seen? How many different defenses have we put out there? How many different forward? Whatever combination he puts out, we just got no clue how they're going to play. They're either going to turn up or they're not. Right? It's just. I'm sorry. I apologise for coming, but I'm just so fed up with this squad and his system and his tactics. For me, this does not make a difference whether Basuma plays, Bentancur plays, Sarr plays, Madison plays, Kulu. I don't care what the front line is. It just doesn't matter for me. It just doesn't matter. He built this squad, so I don't care what team he puts out there, right? The way I feel is he better win, right? If he doesn't win, it's on him. It's as simple as that for me.
But fine. But Maz, we all want that. But let's think about how we think he can actually strategize to bring about a victory. I think that's what Stell was asking.
But he needs.
But there's no point because he won't.
For me, there's no point because he's so tactically stubborn and inept to a certain degree. I mean, he is tactically inept, not to a certain degree, because for me, he could easily gain 20-30% better performances just by stopping the inverted fullbacks, right? Straight away, if he just stops that, right, we're going to be a much better defensive team because we're not going to have those wide areas on the flanks exposed. But he doesn't do it. If he stops forcing the players to play out from the back when they can't, or he only gets them to play out from the back when we're totally in control and we're confident, right? But he doesn't. He makes them play out from the back regardless of what we're doing, which allows.
No, Dragerson and Davis were playing long balls on Saturday, particularly the first half. Go back to Sunday.
Yeah, but we didn't get a result. So what I'm trying to say is, when there's been games when it's been Romero and Van der Ven, we've done that, right?
Well,
exactly. So there's no point cherry picking one game or 2 games. The point is the whole season, right? It is based on these factors, right? He doesn't give the young players a chance when they should have given a chance. Prime example is Jed Spence. When I've seen Jed Spence come on, I'm not saying he's a brilliant player because I haven't seen enough of him, but I think he's earned enough. He's played well enough for him to be granted the chance. Doesn't play him. He's bought a £40 million kid that he never plays. You know, if you're going to spend that sort of money, at least play the damn kid.
Absolutely.
right?
And if he doesn't play
In the right position.
and the Greys and the Bergvales and Lancashires, then by the time we get to the back end of December, we're going to be losing game after game because they're just knackered out. And they're overtrained as well. You know, can you imagine what the training's like?
Exactly. And
it's
Ian,
high press and full intensity. Can you imagine what the training's like? So the players are walking on there. They're probably in the red zone early in the second half.
what was the point?
So many injuries. It's no coincidence. We are picking up loads of injuries.
And here's the thing as well, right? This pre-season, what did we see from him? Skip at centre back, Gray at centre back, and playing these random players all around the pitch.
Yeah.
What on earth? I've never seen a pre-season like it. I mean, like, what
Doesn't
on
want to do
earth
it
was
like
he
anyone else,
thinking?
Baz.
And now
He
he's
doesn't
got
want
the
to do it.
audacity to say, "Oh, you don't know what we're up against. You don't know what we're up against. Oh no, all these injuries, mate." Are like, what are we seeing this season? Honestly, what are we seeing?
I think, Maz, look, the Bournemouth game for me is pretty straightforward. We set up in a more defensive block without inverting the fullbacks. We didn't piss around with the ball at the back the whole game, and we were more rigid, more stable, and we played counter-attacking football, but we still pressed when we had the chance. So it was a counter-attacking game, but we still maintained an element of press, but not the whole team pressing up, the front 3 or 4. Because if you look at the goals where we pressed and scored against City, Porro and Udogie were not on the field. They weren't in their half. So he adapted it, and it worked really well. Since reverting back to type, we couldn't beat Roma. That was end-to-end. Anyone could have won it. And we couldn't beat Fulham, and they should have won it. For me, it's simple. If he goes to Bournemouth away, regardless of who he picks, and sets up like he did against City, we can do something. If he goes there and plays open football, it's going to be a Hail Mary of a game, really entertaining for the neutral.
He won't.
It's just going to be stress.
He won't do that, and I don't think that he meant to do that against City. I think we counter-attacked because City was so good.
Right, City forced it onto us.
I think he set up Maz because we played against them in the cup, and I think because we played against them in such a short space of time, I think he said, you know what, I'm still going to press, but I'm not going to invert the fullbacks. We're not going to muck around with the ball at the back. Let's just do it slightly different. And I think
so why not do that against Arsenal then?
Because City's like his favourite child.
I think
it doesn't make sense
because Arsenal don't give you that massive amounts of spaces in behind. City do. We've seen this season, City teams have got in behind them a lot.
Yeah, but he hasn't adapted well against any other team apart from Man City.
I agree. But for whatever reason,
therefore, I don't think he meant it because the evidence shows, the probability shows that he hasn't adapted against other teams. Why
weren't we knocking the rule around across the back line for most of the game against City? Why weren't we doing that?
You know what? I wouldn't be surprised if it was the actual players' own prerogative that they didn't do that.
Okay, so maybe the players and the manager had that discussion. They said, fine. Because, again, against Fulham, in stoppage time, we are desperate for the winner and we're passing it across the back. We saw us do the same against Palace in stoppage time when we're desperate for an equaliser. We weren't doing that against... Maybe because of Man City, we were leading. We didn't need to, maybe. But we cleared our lines against Man City when they came out.
I think the players don't understand his tactics fully.
I think they do. I just don't think it works for them all the time. And they know it. I think the players know that there's certain games they just want to play in a slightly different way. But for whatever reason, the manager, the coaches don't allow it. And then when it doesn't work, you know, they're proven right. But again, and we're not in the dressing room, so we don't know. We're speculating, aren't we?
But, you know, still, players in any dressing room, they can tell a good player and a bad player. They can tell a good coach and a bad coach. That's their business. That's their game.
Yeah,
I think you should ask Tommy. Tommy's going to cook. I can tell.
Tommy, welcome to the show. Listen, just speak on whatever you want because we've covered a lot of topics. I don't know where you're at, so just fire away.
First of all, is my microphone okay?
We can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah.
Is it scratchy?
No, you're
You
fine.
sound a bit
No,
muffled.
it's just a rash. It'll be fine.
Right. Okay. My microphone was so mouldy. I haven't been on for so long that it's got mouldy, so I've had to chuck the AirPods in. A bit of a palaver, but I'm here now.
Tommy, you might have
as
to talk a
as
bit.
Stel said.
You might have to talk a bit louder though, because the volume's a bit low.
Okay, right. I'll have to sort that out at some stage, but I'll be quick. Look, as you say, Stel, many of the topics that I wanted to talk about have been talked about already, so there's not a great deal I can say. But what I want to ask people is, Stel, you touched on it about the protest. You don't go to the protests anymore, and that's quite sad to hear, because I know you were at the forefront of the few protests that we had. What do you think we need to do? This to the panel in general, to get people to the protest, because for me that's going to be the difference. You know, Man United fans protested the new home kit 2 years ago. They got 10,000 people because they didn't like the design of their home kit. What's it going to take for Spurs to produce 10,000 people to the protest? Or do we need that to move Levy on, or to get Levy to change his philosophy? Maybe online. Maybe it's, you know, online is the power game these days. Can we gather enough people to make a difference? Because if not, we're going around in circles. And Conte, Poch, we're just going around in circles.
We're trying to get...
Next, we can talk about Thomas Frank. We can even talk about a great manager like Conte. But the great manager's not going to come unless you pay him £500,000 a week, because they're not going to damage their reputation by coming to Spurs. You have to pay him stupid money like we paid Conte. So you know, we're just going around in circles. What's it going to take to get people to the protest? Because what else can you do? Relegation battle? Arsenal win the league?
Tommy, I don't know if you saw the show last Monday. We had the chairman of the trust on, Martin, and he agreed to contact all the big YouTube accounts, all the big podcasts, social media accounts, and see if they can come to some kind of arrangement where we all agree on a course of action. Because for me, it's got to be the influencers and the loud voices online that do it together. If we can't do that, I don't see how we ever do it.
And
again,
that's why this talk of Ange, I don't like Ange.
Tommy, I think the reality is that we need to build a coalition, right? And you need to all of the influencers in the Spurs community need to come to a consensus. Now, I don't know, and a organization like the trust, right, maybe has the ability to pull that together, and I think that's the only way.
But at the same time, those channels, those podcasters, they've got to want to do it as well. It can't be right. We agree to write a letter to Levy. I'm not wasting my time with that. I'm not wasting my time a day with emails and they've got to want to. And the only obstacle, I think, is that they don't want to go directly up against the club out of fear of any retribution, repercussion to their brand or their media connections. And that's where I hope Martin can find a way through that, because I don't know how to get through those barriers. I have no idea. Because I don't care. Tommy, I know you don't care. We don't care. We're ready to go, right? For them, I think they're very conscious of how they are perceived by others.
Look, we mentioned the supporters trust. You know, the third protest I went to back 2 years ago, the only people that turned up were the supporters trust, 16-year-olds handing out leaflets of what they're going to do. Apparently honestly, 16-year-olds with a box of leaflets, 2 of them. That's what the supporters trust offer us. Maybe they've changed. I don't think they've changed a great deal in 2 years. Honestly, I said this last summer, before the season ended, right? I think Arsenal winning the league. Arsenal winning the league is probably our best opportunity of getting people. Because I've seen how, and rightly so, I've seen how much it hurts Spurs fans. Like the last 2 seasons, it's not been about how we finish. It's been about making sure Arsenal don't win the title, right? So Arsenal winning the title, as much as it would hurt, is the best opportunity we have of people turning around and saying, do you know what, really, I think it's time. I think it's time to go against Levy.
But Tommy, don't you think half the
it.
fan base will look at that and say, look what happens if you stick with the manager for 6 years. Look what happens if you trust the process. Look what happens if, you're patient. Don't you think that buys Levy another 4 years as well from half the fan base? Because that's my fear.
And you know what? Even if we're close to doing a protest, right? We're one victory away from the flip-flops just turning. We could lose 3 games in a row or something, and everything will be shocking. Like we had Richard, Cracknell from TalkSport. He came down after we had a bad spell a couple of years ago. He came down, said hello to a few of the Levy outlets, right? Yep. Nothing since. We beat Leeds the following week. I was YouTubing then. I was like, I guarantee we beat Leeds the following week, everything's going to go down. Nobody's going to be talking about it. And it's exactly what happened. Cracknell and his boys and all these chaps that are relying on subscribers. They'll just follow the narrative, whatever the narrative is. And that's a problem because we need to run the narrative. These guys need to rule the narrative regardless of the results for a little while for us to overcome this.
Yeah, but they hide behind the word balance. They have to remain balanced, which means they've got to appeal to everyone, which means they appeal to nobody in the end because everyone's fractured and divided. If you're oh, go on, JP. Sorry, go on.
I was going to say the other thing I'd say, Tommy, is you're saying about Arsenal winning the league, right? This last season, it could have happened. And half the fan base wanted us to lose, and half the fan base wanted us to win. No, go out. How can you want your team not to lose? Go out. I'm like, do you know what I mean? So, like, even something like that, they'll be straight down the middle with.
Yeah.
We have to do something, though. Something has to happen because you're right.
We say this all the time, though, JP. Something has to change. We say this all the time. Nothing will change until the fans change. Listen, I'm not going to change fans. This channel's not going to change fans. It needs one person to lead an organization and to bring fans together to want to take a form of action. Even if there was 5,000 to 10,000 of us, that will have an impact. That will make enough of a racket to begin to shake it up. But you don't even need 1,000 or 10,000. When you was outside the stadium, you put your time and you put your energy in it, and a lot of people did. They were consistent for a little while until we realised it's not going to work. Maz was there, Ian was there, we were all there.
But all you needed, we had 100 people, 120 people. All you needed was 500. You just needed 400 or 500, then the other people gather. The other people will come forward. Like the Man United game, I was at the stadium when we lost 3-0 to Man United under Nuno. And 300 or 400 people at the stadium finally were leave you out. And it turned into 2,000, turned into 10,000, and it was booming. Leave you out. And finally, the guy made a decision. Following morning, Nuno was gone. He was gone. It's the only time he's made a decision that quickly, getting rid of a manager. It was booming around the stadium.
But he sacked the wrong person. Should have sacked himself.
But whilst you're beating Villa 4-1, Man United 3-0, Man City 4-0, whatever momentum builds, it dies down. As soon as we brought in Ange and we started playing forward attacking football, the fan base like, yeah, okay, good. We're being entertained again. As long as we're entertained, and then it's no coincidence that Ange keeps saying entertain. And why do he keep saying that? Because he knows the research the club has done, the media team have done, is that fans just want to be entertained. Most of them. Most fans want to be entertained. That's
the other thing. You're bang on. And you said it earlier, we need to lose. It's almost like we need to lose. And I remember you saying it earlier, and it's such a sad situation that we're in, and I never thought I'd say that as a Spurs fan. If people said it to us, I'd be like, who are you? You're not a real supporter. But we're almost in the situation. For Spurs to succeed, we need to foul in the short term. We still probably won't bring these back.
I must tell you, sir, I always thought that when Kane leaves, that will be up in arms. This is he's one of our own. He's our history, leading goal scoring in the last 30, 40, 50 years. But the problem was, as Kane left and started winning with that 10-game spell, and all of a sudden the fans have forgotten about it. And everyone's jumped on board with Ange, and Kane's forgotten about. And I thought that was a disgrace because when our best player for many years leaves the club because he has ambition that is not matched by the owners, the fan base should be up in arms. They should have gone berserk.
Yeah,
half the fan base said, if he doesn't want to be here, get out. If you don't want to be here, get out. That's what half the fans were saying.
Unbelievable.
And 2
Unbelievable.
years before that, Ian, Kane was still obsessed with leaving, but his idiot of a brother got him on a 7-year contract. So fortunately for us, I say fortunately for us, we still didn't win anything. The extra 2 years we had Kane for, we just don't win anything regardless. So we're not going to win stuff now without Kane, are we?
No, I didn't blame him. You couldn't blame him for leaving, could you?
Of course not. And it's such a sad state of affairs that boy and Sonny will probably never win a trophy. The two world-class duo together.
Bayern Munich.
Harry Kane on his own world-class.
Bayern Munich will win the Bundesliga this season. He
Are
will
they
be
so
the
like
golden
7
boot.
clear now still, I think?
He will be the golden boot. He will win a league title. He'll get that off his back, and he will look back and say, "That's why I had to leave Tottenham.
That's what he will be remembered for, not the 10 years at Spurs."
Exactly. Spot on. And that's the tragedy.
Absolutely,
we see
pissed them off the wall having them too.
All of our top players, Kyle Walker, Eriksson, Bale, Modric, Carrick, Berbatov, Kane, they leave, they find glory, and then they look back and say, "What the fuck was I doing at Spurs? What was I doing?"
Ndombele's won 2 league championships the last 2 years.
I mean,
Think about it.
We've got a super chat in here from edX. Big up, he's putting a few
Big up,
tonight. Thank you,
Ed,
edX. What about? No, sorry, hold on. Beg your pardon. It was Tommy, not Tommy on the show, but Tommy Castillo. Here's the ratings for the man of the match of tonight's show. JP 6.7, a luxury player. Maz 7.6, a loose touch. Ian 7.9, strong in the tackle. Stel's 7.8, I've gone up. Too many step overs. Who used to do a lot of step overs at Spurs? Was it Lamella?
Ginola.
No, there was a player that used to overdo it.
Lamella.
It was Lamella. Lee's the man of the match. There you go. And Tom, you haven't got a rating because you're a sub. Well done, Lee.
I was at least hoping I'd get
explain
super
to us?
sub there. I was at least hoping I'd get super sub, but it's all right. I'll take it.
Yeah, not even a super sub. Tommy Castillo, could you explain to us why Lee's man of the match? I'd like to know what you're thinking there. So
Yeah, see, you were gutted last week and you're gutted again this week. It's not you, eh?
I'm never going to win it. It's
Got to
not
step up
happening.
still. Got to step up, mate. Playing too many matches a week, that's what it is. You can't take more than two.
I might do a Solanke and just call in sick for a couple of games and then come back. See what
Got a cold and
yeah. Tommy, where are you at with Ange? Do you think he's been backed? If not, then you really got to blame Levy, or do you think he has been backed enough to do well and he's just the wrong manager for Spurs right now? What's your thinking on that?
Look, she'd never been employed in the first place. People get emotional about Ange saying he's not good enough. He was never good enough. You know, managing Japan, Australia. If you can name 2 teams in Japan and Australia, you've done well. Celtic or Rangers haven't failed to win the league title since 1982. So that doesn't mean much. Winning titles at Celtic, and that was Alex Ferguson. Bit of a decent manager. That was Aberdeen in 1982. So Celtic or Rangers, they just don't not win the league. In Celtic, I think it's like 12 at the last 13 years. So his credentials coming in meant nothing, winning titles at Celtic. And he's proved to be that way. If you want to be between 7th and 9th, he's the man. He's the perfect man. He's the guy. But what I disagree with some of the boys, and a lot of the rhetoric happening is, this was Ange's summer. These are his players. Okay, he said they're his players, but let's face it. Conte never got his players. Jose never got his players. Poch never got his players. So why would Levy all of a sudden give Ange his players? These ain't Ange's players. He's got to say that. To keep his job, he has to say they're his players. He has to.
Tommy,
Can't say they're not
to be
his
fair
players.
to
He
you,
gets sacked.
right? To be fair to you, right at the beginning, when Ange said he's been backed, you were one of the voices. I remember it. You came on and you did say he hasn't been backed. Do you believe that? You were the one person that argued with everyone on this. So you've stayed consistent on that. You don't believe he's been backed. You just think he's saying it.
I said the
Well,
same
I don't
thing.
think he's attempted to be backed either. I don't think he cares what team.
You're not getting another man of the match.
He's on 40k. He don't care about anything, Ange. Just cares about his style of football, and you know that's all he cares about. He doesn't care about being back. He's got 3 times his wages as a Spurs manager. He's on 40k a week at Celtic. He's on 120k a week.
Just
Lovely.
see it out, innit?
Lovely jubbly. Shouldn't be here. Shouldn't be. If you're serious and you want to challenge for the league title, like we should be, because we're the highest season ticket buyers. Yeah, we charge the highest season tickets in the league. We should be at least challenging for the title, winning trophies. But we're not. So he's not the right manager for that. Look, that's not our ambition anyway. So for our ambition levels, Andrew's the perfect manager. Perfect manager.
What's your thinking for Bournemouth away and then Chelsea at home? Do you see any wins there, or do you see nothing but draws and losses?
Bournemouth will probably win. Chelsea, they're on fire, aren't they? They're on fire. So, it hurts me that so many of the Spurs fans take the mickey. They're like, oh, financial fair play. Chelsea are pushing the boundaries. This is illegal. That's illegal. So what? We got the money. Let's push the boundaries. Levy pushed the boundaries. We're complaining about Chelsea paying over 100 million they shouldn't be paying. Let's push the boundaries. We got the amount we generate. We should be doing this. And now it's come good. And they'll probably win the league title in the next couple of years. So it's going to be difficult. Our record against Chelsea is never great. Probably the best we can hope for there's a draw. So I would probably beat Bournemouth. It's just consistent inconsistency, isn't it, this season? I can't see us beating Chelsea.
Tommy, I'm going to call you on this. Hold on, JP. I'm going to call you on this one, though.
With financial fair play and everything like that.
I don't know what you said, JP. You cut out a bit, mate.
Wasn't this going to be our year with financial fair play and everything? And this is what Levy's big plan was. All
saving
all the money and not doing anything. It was all for this year or something, right? Well, that's fucked up, isn't it?
It was a load of nonsense. That's what it was.
It was a smokescreen. I've told you this, JP. The 400 million net profit or whatever it was didn't take into consideration all the loans we'd outstanding still for players, which is what, 250, 260 million, etc. So the amount we had to spend was spot on. It was about 100 million or something. It wasn't 400 million.
Everyone was saying Levy masterclass, right?
Oh, yeah.
They lost 80 million in the last financial, in the last set of books.
Oh, yeah, because then they don't have to pay taxes on profits they don't have.
But hold on. The money they lost, part of that loss was the investment in players. So if you're going to make a loss, and one of the reasons is to invest in players, make sure you invest in the right players, because part of that loss was us investing 65 million in Richarlison. What are we doing? Yeah, and that goes back to what Maz said about where the money's spent.
Tax
we spend it. We badly spend the money, and people say, but you can't blame Levy for that. You can. He recruits the football directors. He recruits the head scout. He recruits the people to build the footballing side of the business. And if they fail, ultimately, Levy's recruited that. And after 24 years, we can't keep blaming football directors and scouts. We can't keep doing that.
But that just shows you it is a tax write-off still. Are you going to pay 60 million for Richarlison? Is that not a tax write-off?
Well, I think it was about 48, actually, JP.
50 million.
60 with
add-ons.
60 with add-ons.
But let me come back to Tommy to ask him a question. So about you think that we'll beat Bournemouth, knowing that we're away, the players that they've got, Semenyo, I think is a great player. I think he's better than some of our players that we've got in our attacking lineup. This is where I struggle. I'm having to take every match from minute one as it starts to understand how we're going to get a result, or depending on what the first 10, 15 minutes goes like, etc. How do you see us beating Bournemouth at their ground, where they're notorious for being better than, people struggle to get results there? Where is this result coming from? That's what I want a little bit of basis of.
We still do possess match winners. There are still match winners in there. Kulusevski, Maddison, if they're on it, if they want it, then they are potentially, they're still match winners. But it seems like, even though, we've conceded less recently. We have conceded less recently. And I'm not an expert on Bournemouth's style of play, but it just seems like, Villa were a good team to beat. We still beat Villa. I know they've not been great recently, but we beat Villa, then lose to Ipswich. We beat Man City, then struggle against Fulham and Roma. So there's still, with this back four, we still beat Man City 4-0 away. With Van der Ven and Romero out. So we can still beat the likes of Bournemouth. And I just see that being the way, you know, things go in terms of that. But Semenyo's a fantastic player. They got some, they certainly turned it round. Solanke, he's not a big miss for them, is he? Don't get me started on Solanke. Don't get me started on Solanke. The way people overrate this guy. Jesus Christ. 65
Interesting.
million.
No, tell us about him. No, listen,
£65 million for
He works
Solanke.
hard, he works
Whoa.
hard though, Tommy, doesn't he?
Works hard. Whoa. Oh my
The
God.
interest-
I work hard.
interesting
Get me in there.
Tommy, the
You know, the
interesting
hot dog vendor at the, you know, the hot dog vendor at the ground works hard. You put him up front. You put him up front.
Solanke. Solanke last year, hang on, Solanke last year was 1 in 2. Solanke this year is 1 goal short of 1 in 2. If you want to talk stats, if you want to talk, well, why did we buy him? Because he's
But that was a one-off season for Solanke. If you look at his previous seasons, it was absolutely shocking. It was 1 in 3, 1 in 4 his previous seasons. So we've signed him, even though he's had 3 previous seasons where he's bang average. We signed him off 1 good season with a great manager, as well.
Let me ask you. Let me tell you 2 things to that. Firstly, if he'd have had a great season 3 years ago, then 2 shit ones, you wouldn't be buying him. So. And secondly, maybe he got a manager last year in Areola who saw something there, nurtured him, and put the style of play into work for Bournemouth that suited Solanke.
It's not even about just Solanke. It's about the better options that are out there. I think he's a decent player. He's not £60 million. Maybe he's 35, £40 million. Osterman.
No, hold on.
Get Osterman in.
But you should have gone for Osterman when Kane left. They knew Kane was going to leave. They were never going to take an £85 million loss.
But Napoli just won the league title. Napoli just won the league title, so he wasn't going anywhere.
No, but but they should have, you know, someone like him or Isak. That's the level of player they should have been aiming for.
Solanke, England's fourth choice striker.
Ian, Solanke's scored 4 Premier League goals
in 10. 1 more and he's 5 in 10, which is the same as his record last year.
Yeah, but Chris Woods has
Been
got double.
by Johnson.
Chris Woods has got double the amount of goals Solanke has scored.
Solanke will finish with more goals than Chris Wood this season.
Really?
Yeah. Forrest have had a bit of
again. Tell me how.
The lap.
Because I said from day one, I don't think Solanke's right for Ange's system. I think he's a good striker in a mid-table team, but
he's good for the pressing. He's very good.
He's good for pressing. Don't get me wrong. Work rate, it's fine for that. But when it comes to being more of a target man in the box, I don't think we play like that. Look what we did in front of Fulham yesterday on the 85th minute. We spent 3 or 4 minutes just doing the old crescent moon move again, like I've been harping on about. Back and forward. We never crossed the ball in the box.
I thought Solanke's presence was really missed yesterday. I think we really missed him.
But he ain't scoring that much. So
I've got to tell you something. Kulu was breaking down the right second half after he came on.
What did Solanke do against Roma?
Hang on. He's looking up. Wait a minute. Still, he's looking up. There's no one in the box. There was just no one there.
Ian, so what did Solanke do against Roma? Against Roma, he went 1-on-1 with the goalie, hit it straight to goalie. He had a header from 2 yards out, he hits the post. Solanke, for me, I'm just saying that against... Do you know what it is? He's not a big game player. Like do you know what we need? Berbatov...
When he came back, that's what we need.
Like Kane, Berbatov, top strikers that we had.
Sure.
When we were in a really difficult situation, they'd pull it out for us. Not always, but quite often, they'd pull it out the bag for us. None of these players currently, and I put Kulu in this as well, when we're up against it, all the Spurs players went missing against Palace, Ipswich, Brighton second half. They all went missing against Coventry. We had to bring on subs in the last 5 to save that. They all went missing against Roma. And then against Fulham, again, they've all gone missing again. When we need it, when we're in a difficult situation, I've said this many a time, when the pressure is on and it's not going to plan, now show me what you've got. And they all flop.
Well, the only person who's consistently stepping up to the plate this season with goals is Johnson. He's the only one.
But not when we're under pressure and we need it. Well, not when we're in desperate need. The only time
Well, I've got to tell you
Johnson.
something. Listen,
Wait, the only time. Hold on, Ian. The only time
Coventry?
Johnson. 1 minute. I was about to say the only time was Coventry, but let's be honest. Coventry, I can step up. I can step up against Coventry. Well,
we're 1 down to Brentford. I think Johnson scored a cracking goal. Got us back in the game.
We were never out of that Brentford game. We were never under that pressure. Like even West Ham, when we went 1-0 down, we had them. I'm talking about where we look bad, where we look like it's like we don't look good. That's when I want to see what our players are made of. And they all go missing.
The thing is with Johnson, you take Johnson out of those 7-goal equations and put any other player in that position, they're scoring them goals. That's the difference between
except for the Brentford goal. Yes.
No, all right, we'll give him the Brentford goal. All right, we'll give him.
It was a good goal. It was a good goal. I don't like him.
But that's the point. I know he scored. Look, fantastic for scoring those goals, but it's not like he's made those goals. They're his. You know, he
makes the run at the right time and gets the close range.
The right place at the right time.
Yeah, exactly.
He's like Filippo Inzaghi. He's like Filippo Inzaghi. He made a career out of it.
It's all about anticipation with Johnson, getting into the box at the right time, hitting that sprint into the box to get in front of the defenders. I'm sorry, you can't knock it.
I think we're slightly harsh on Johnson. I think I'm a little bit on Ian's side here. I think we're slightly. I'm not on Ian's side when it comes to Solanke. Okay, yeah, we miss him, but it's because he's the only striker in the squad. I mean, yeah, we miss him. He is the only striker we have, so of course you're going to miss him. But Johnson, do you know what? The timing of runs is a very, very important trait in football. And don't get me wrong, you know, the majority of his goals are tap-ins, but without those goals, you know, where are we? What are we doing without those goals? You know, we're struggling now. We're 15th, 16th without those goals.
Right. So correct.
I don't think that's why there's always been an argument with Johnson that he would be better played through the middle. I mean, I think he's played there for Wales a lot more.
Sure.
And you're right. That type of being in the right place at the right time, he excels that. But when you take... Listen, I went and watched him live for the first time against Ipswich, and I haven't been for a long, long time. And I came away from that. Before that, I thought he was an average player in the position that he plays for Tottenham on the wing, apart from these goals and the time in these runs. Fantastic, great for doing that. But I'm telling you, after watching him live and being able to, I'm one of these people where, although I'm watching the game, I'm analysing players, you know, learning coaching and stuff like that, and this kind of thing. And I automatically do it. And I'm telling you that he is one of the most bang average players I've ever seen in my life. His off the ball movement, apart from those little runs where he scored the goals, is so bad. And no wonder Ange bit at him the other day, because he offers nothing to Porro when Porro's got the ball down the right. He makes no runs. He's so static that it makes you wonder whether he's actually got any kind of speed behind him, because he's supposed to be a speed merchant like Werner, but he never uses it. And it frustrates me more than anything that I think it's almost like he's got the physical ability to do what he needs to do. He just doesn't have the mental ability to execute it. And it's really frustrating. And he also, we all know this, but he leaves Porro so exposed. Again, it's another negative for him. And it's just, we need something better. We need something better. Fantastic for getting 7 goals, but all round as a player, we need better. It's as simple as that.
In terms of your analysis of him outside of scoring, I agree with you 100%. But he's played in the wrong position. If he was played further in, then he would be in the box more and he'd be scoring more.
How many goals as a striker? Because he played in the front 2 at Nottingham Forest, yeah? He played in the front 2. How many goals did he get a striker at Nottingham Forest? Shall I tell you how many? The most he ever got was 9 or 10.
12? Or was it?
9 or 10. 9 or 10. Right? So he's not a striker. A striker scores headers, left foot, right foot, long range, short range, penalties. Harry Kane, basically. Son, Berbatov, Keane. They did it. This guy scores short range tap-ins, and once in a blue moon, he'll score a half-decent goal. You say, well, that's pretty good, that. But he
hasn't got the capability to be
he's not a striker, man. He's not.
So name me a top striker who is going to come to Tottenham with the money we spend on players and the wages that we give out. We're not going to get anybody. Solanke was the best you're going to get, unfortunately.
We
I
had
don't
an
blame
opportunity.
Solanke.
We
I don't
could have
blame
offered
Solanke.
Gyökeres
I don't
before
blame
the
Solanke.
price went up.
Tommy, Spurs were never going to go for Gyökeres.
Well, that's the problem.
Why not?
That's the problem. That's why the
Why
first
not?
thing I said when I came on is how do we get the protest together to stop this
That's right.
ownership from doing what they're doing? Because we can't get the Solankis in, and we'll
Yeah,
never get
but
above
hold on.
Solanke.
Hold on.
That's a
Let me just-
fundamental
Hold
on,
problem.
Ian,
That's a
Ian.
Let me
fundamental
answer
problem.
that.
But
One at a
say,
time, one at a time.
but
Players aren't
say-
going to join. Top players aren't going to join.
Right.
To put that on their CV, the same way top managers aren't going to join.
Right, so why are you
Because it's
discussing the
definitely-
tactics and everything? What are we going to win with those tactics? What are we going to win with Johnson up front?
We need new owners and a new manager if we're going to start winning things, Maz. That's the reality.
Right, no, but answer my question. You I said to you we should have gone after Gyökeres. You said he's never going to come, and then my rebuttal to that is, why are we speaking about Johnson going up front like that's going to make any difference to Spurs?
Well, he's scoring goals, isn't he?
Ian, you know when you say,
I think a lot of his goals. Sorry, Steph.
No, go.
I was just saying a lot of Johnson's goals. To be fair to Solanke, is where Solanke pulls defenders away. He pulls defenders away, and then Brennan Johnson can time his run. He's usually at the back post to tap it in, and that does take a good player to be able to time those runs. I think that's a decent trait. And I would never have a player because I would never criticize a player just because he scores tapping. It's not about how they look, just that we need to score goals, quite frankly. But Johnson's an average player. Maybe Solanke pulls him away a little bit to help Johnson.
Yeah.
But Lee made a great point, and this is why I will never argue with how a player is on or off the ball with people that actually go to the game, because you see both sides, you see the whole picture of the game, so you know how attacking players are performing when the team is defending. Where they're positioned, and that's very, very key. The cameras don't see that. You see that at the pitch, so you would know that Johnson's not performing in the defensive role, and that's a big, big problem because Poro's not that great himself. So we do need the help from Johnson, and that's something I wasn't
he just frozen?
that aware of. I wasn't that aware of, but I'll never criticize how he scored the goals. If he scored 7 35 yarders or he scored 7 tap-ins, I don't really care. We just need to score goals.
Can I ask you a question? Like when you said name a striker we could sign, right? For me, this is simple. I've never heard of Berbatov until we signed him. I never heard of Son until we signed him. There's players we signed that I've never heard of. I never heard of what's his name, João Pedro at Brighton until they signed him. There's players that get signed that we've never heard of that do a really, really good job. Why is it at Spurs our scouts can't go and find those players that cost 10, 15, 20 million, 35, 30 odd million that we've never heard of? They're actually really, really good. Alvarez was £14 million. Man City signed him. Why couldn't we have signed him? There's players out there, and we don't scout them. We don't go for those players. I don't understand. But when we do go, we go for the absolute worst, like Vincent Janssen, Vinicius, like absolute joke signings. Right, when you scout a player, surely you say, is this guy a baller? Is he technically on it? And has he got the physicality to play up front, and can he score? They're the 3 things I'm looking for: technique, strength, and goal scoring. They're out there because other Premier League club play, other Premier League, and Mbeumo, Wissa, how are they at Brentford and we can't find that?
Well, Mbeumo is the player that I would love it.
My answer to you is there's names out there that we've never heard of, and all the other clubs sign them. The only time we've signed a player that I've never heard of, and I'm thinking, fucking hell, he's not bad, is Van der Ven. Under this, it's Van der Ven in the last 3. It's Van der Ven. Never heard of him. Come to the club. He's at, and Vicario, actually, 2. Vicario and Van der Ven. So we've proven we can do it. Do it for the front line. Werner, Solanke, Richarlison, Johnson, Veliz, Odegaard. What are we doing? What are we doing? I don't get it. I think they're out there, Ian.
Right, I'm going to go to bed. Good to see everyone. Bye-bye.
See you, Maz.
No, see that. I seriously question either... Big up to Maz. Ian, I seriously question either our scouting or the restrictions put on the scouts. I think our scouts are told, go and find a player, but it's got to be this age, this price, and the wages can't be above this much.
That's too boxed in, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah, so the scouts are out there with one hand tied behind their back, one eye shut, and they're out there. I've got to find a player. What do you think they're going to end up with?
Still, it's based on the budget that the manager is given for that transfer window,
and the wages and the age.
No, that's right. The whole financial package. There's your answer.
Well,
the scouts have probably got to use a bus to go around travelling looking.
How much is in Buemo, João Pedro, Wisa? How much are these guys on?
I'm absolutely convinced they're just buying FIFA points and just opening bronze packs and then just picking up, and that's it. That's where they're picking the names from. I mean, we've got another one. When's the new guy, the 19-year-old, who's apparently cooking in the K League or the J League, whichever one it is.
He's there. He's already at the club.
So he's here now. So he's available to play, is he? Because according to reports, 12 goals and 5 assists so far this season. He's absolutely cooking. But means nothing. Yeah.
Well, Lee, I sell for Korean Mills, and the guys there tell me that he's superb.
But in the context of where he's playing, he probably is. But we can say that about.
I hear this all the time.
This is the problem. I would listen. For me, if he's available to play, I'll chuck him in. Chuck him in against Bournemouth or someone like that. It can't be any worse than.
No, I think
he's available to start training, isn't he? Yeah, at the moment.
I think he's joining January the 1st.
Yeah.
I think it's Jan 1st, Lee.
Ian,
so it's just the media again reporting absolute rubbish that we listen to.
The K League. This is the K League. The K League. So outside of you, Ian, because you probably, I don't know, you've got some sort of connection there. Can you three boys name 2 teams from the K League?
Yeah.
Grandpa say
Sushi and
Did Mitoma come from the K League
and the Honda Civics?
2 clubs.
No, that's a player.
Did Mitoma come from the K League?
There we go.
I imagine so.
I don't know. I don't follow the K League. I think
the natural progression from players in Asia is generally Japan, and then they jump into the Europe somewhere, Germany, that kind of place, and then obviously the good ones end up coming to the UK.
Tottenham.
If they're good enough.
See, look. This is a prime example, right? Manu Kone cost 18 million euros, and he went to Roma.
He was good the other night, wasn't he?
For 2 years, I was banging on about. You want a Musa Dembele replacement, someone that can be a 6 and move into the 8. Go watch Manu Kone at Mönchengladbach. And I sent the video to so many people. I said, what do you think? I was like, yeah. He was up for sale. We could have got him for under 20 million euros. We did nothing, right? Look, I'm not going to knock Archie Gray because he's never played in his position. I don't know. This guy's ready and he's young enough to have value. He's powerful. He was one of the best players on the pitch for Roma. He was one of the best players on the pitch. Where are our scouts and where's our recruitment team to bring a player like that in? Right, this is what I mean. I'm convinced there's a striker out there and a right forward that can do more than Johnson for less money, but either the scouts or the restrictions on the scouts are a problem. Something isn't right, and it always seems to happen. Manu Kone is a great example, by the way. I was banging on about him for so long. I can't believe he's at Roma. He's wasted there. He's absolutely wasted at Roma.
I said that when we went and got Werner still. It's like you're telling me across the whole of Europe, you can't get a fast youngster who can score goals.
And you're telling me Ange chose Werner over all those players as well?
Yep.
Really?
That's what I've been told.
You think that he chose Werner?
100%. Right. He wanted Werner.
Not anything to do with the fact that it didn't cost any money.
He is signing off on all the players.
No, sorry, it's not the case.
I'm with Tommy on this though, and I have been since the beginning or the end of the transfer season. There's a difference between him choosing a player and him saying, "Yes, okay, that player's coming in." There is a different circumstance for that. I don't think Werner was the player he wanted. I think Tottenham told him, "This is all we can get right now."
Werner or nothing.
Will he work?
It's not Werner yes. or Dan Juma or someone else from the Italian bottom 4 relegated team that's going to be free. Langley. We've got Langley a few seasons ago. Conte, we never signed a centre-back under Conte. Plays with 3 centre-backs, one everywhere. Plays with 3 centre-backs. We never signed a single centre-back. We had Dyer, Davis, Romero first season.
Yeah, we did. We got Clement Longley.
Do we really think Conte comes from Inter Milan, wins the league title there. They haven't won the league title Inter for 10 years when he done so. They've got Bastoni, De Vrij, and Skriniar playing at the back. You think he said, do you know what, Davis, Sanchez, and Romero, that's who I want. And to bulk those options up, I'm going to get Longley. Do you think he does? Or,
yeah, of course, we know that. We know it. Yeah,
the answer is no. The answer is no. Conte didn't want that. And so you think, and with his credentials, his CV, which is nothing, there's nothing there. Levy's going to say, here you go, it's £200 million. No chance. Never, ever, ever. These are not Andrew's signings, but he has to say it is signings or he won't have a job. And it's fine because he's on triple his wages. Follow the money. Any question in life, follow the money. Right. He's tripling his wages at Spurs. He'll never get a higher paycheck. So that's why he's saying yes. It's as simple as that.
And to be fair, Tommy,
it's not a difficult one. Werner, really, Werner, Ian. You really think he wanted Werner? Come on now.
That's what I've been told. That's what I've been told.
And not only the first time, he welcomed him back.
Yeah.
I personally think what's happened is exactly the same that's happened with every other manager. He's been forced to take on some young signings. The club have forced the issue. That's part of the agreement of coming to the club. There's a couple of signings that he got to pick. Like, that's my point. That's mine. And then the rest were done by a committee where he didn't have enough influence and had to stay corporate and collaborative and accept signings that he felt, do you know what, it's not what I want, but maybe I can do something with it. I don't want to rock the boat. And I think every manager at Spurs has had to deal with that. And we will forever be in this paralysis because for me, I think the only way forward is let the club say, look, we're going to sign some youngsters, right? And you're going to have to develop them and see where they go. But every other signing you get to pick. There's your budget. You now pick. If we went down that road, I think we're in a better place. But, and I'm going to call out Ange, and I'm going to call out every manager, including Poch and Mourinho, they all accepted that process. The only one that said, fuck this, was Conte. He's the only one that said, nah. Whereas the rest, they agreed to this formula that doesn't work. So they are partly to blame as well because they agreed to it. And Ange, Tommy, he has agreed to it, hasn't he? He's agreed to it. But like you said, he's getting paid, so maybe he doesn't give a shit. I don't know.
And let's be absolutely truthful.
Werner or nothing. Do you want Werner or do you want nothing?
Nothing.
There you go.
Nothing.
Exactly, JP. Exactly, JP. You take him over nothing, won't you? You take him over nothing.
So that's him agreeing to it, right?
Bang on, JP. You take him over nothing, and that's it. That's why he's there. That's why he's there.
But let's be honest about the two youngsters, right? Graham Bergvall. They were not bought by the club for an Ange project to develop youth. He is not a player that, sort of manager that develops anyone. He's a manager that has a system, he implements that system, and the players follow that system. Those two players were bought nothing more than potential youngsters where Levy will look to see and get a profit out of them, but they're not being played. So that's all just cocked that right up, isn't he? Yeah, that's what he does with players. He buys them for potential where he can find a profit, and he's done it so many times where it's failed. That's why a lot of the time we never make any money on players, apart from the odd one or two, Kane, Bale, etc., etc. It's all business, nothing to do with what the manager needs. It's all about business.
Bergvall was a Lange signing. Lange knows the Scandinavian market. Gray was being scouted by Spurs. By the scouts,
but because of their potential and potential sell-on value, not because they're putting together a youth project with a coach that doesn't develop youth.
Do you know what I've got to say? Paratici was doing an all right job. Since Lange come in, it's gone to shit. Lange is absolutely
he's not a football person, isn't he? He's not a football person.
Mate,
Lange. He got sacked from Villa and got replaced with Monchi, didn't he? He got sacked and replaced with Monchi. So.
I don't think Paratici was amazing, but he was doing good enough, right? Good enough to say, do you know what? We can see some promise here.
Still,
this Lange guy, honestly, fuck my life.
Still, Paratici Paratici came in, all the top kids in London were going to other clubs. They were going to Palace, they were going to Fulham. Paratici came in and sorted the whole thing out. Levy and Hitchens was organising the scouting. Paratici came in and put a whole scouting network in within 8 months, 9 months. He did a fantastic job. And look how well the kids are doing. They won a few trophies last season, didn't they? They won leagues, cups. You know, Spurs were never at the races. You know, they went to Man City. They got beaten by 2 late goals in the Youth Cup quarter-final. If Mikey Moore had been playing, then I reckon Spurs would have gone through and won the Youth Cup last year.
Can I just say one thing? Look, I know I sound like a depressed, broken record, but I'm gonna carry on. We're talking about managers not being given power. We're talking about managers not giving power. None of these directors of football are giving power. This is Levy. Listen to what Paul Mitchell said. The last great director of football we had, the last director of football that had power, was there for 2 years, signed all the big boys, Alderweireld to Vertonghen. His second year, he said it while he's employed by Spurs, my dream job has become a nightmare. Why? Because he took the power away. He interfered. Since 2016, the directors of football haven't had any say. The managers haven't had any say. Now, Paratici, he helped us with the Bentancur and Kulusevski sign, certainly, because he was the director of football at Juventus. Shockingly bad. He was a great chief scout for Juventus, but when he got propelled to director of football, that's when they'd failed, completely failed from that point on. So even he's a failure, but he's the best failure. Still, it doesn't matter. He's not signing off on the players. Every contract,
He brought us Udogi, he brought us Vicari. I'm sorry, they're not failures. I'm not
saying they're failures, but look, I can praise Levy for that. I'm still going to praise Levy for that. I can say they're Levy signings. I can't say the ones that are success are not Levy signings and the ones that aren't. So the successful signings, for me, you've got to say they're Levy signings. But if you throw enough shit against the wall, some of it's going to stick, right? You throw enough shit against the wall, some of it is going to stick. Yeah. My head teacher said that. She said that when it comes to learning. She's like, just learn. Throw enough shit against the wall, some of it will stick. Yeah. Maybe, I wasn't the smartest cat growing up. And this is the thing. In the summer, I've done 2 streams in the last 6 months. Another one was in the summer on this show, and I got so much flack. I look in the comments after when I said Bergvall. I don't think, he's coming from Djurgårdens, like the 25th best league in the world. You got Archie Gray, and I had this discussion. I don't know whether it was you, Ian. I know you love a bit of Archie, but I looked at his stats and I said, is he a centre mid? Is he coming in to replace Højbjerg? You look at his 44 games, 17 he played at centre mid, 24 at right back.
That was because there was an injury. He got moved to right back because of injury. And I'll say this to you,
he's only had one professional season.
Hang on one second. Do you think he deserves to be bombed out the way he's been when our midfield players have been so inconsistent? This wouldn't happen. This wouldn't happen at any other club. The mediocrity.
Here we go.
Of performances. Forget it's him. It could be in any department of the team, front, midfield, or back. These players are getting away with murder. Some of them. They are so
replacement for Højbjerg
because Ange doesn't believe in youngsters, and because he's just playing the same players week after week. These kids don't get a game.
Why? They're not good enough. They're clearly not good enough.
Who says they're not good enough? We haven't even seen
the manager, because none of the managers ever put the youngsters in. When we signed Gill, when we had Jack White, none of the managers used them. They weren't good enough.
Tommy, do you trust his manager?
The same.
You trust him?
Look, it's the same with all managers. That we sign these youngsters and none of them get paid. Jack Clark, Gill, they all go out. Spence, they all go out and not do anything. My point is this. A lot of people thought they knew what they were talking about when it comes to Archie Gray, saying, he's a centre midfielder, he's been a replacement for Højbjerg. I'm not an expert at all, I'm dim. Yeah, but I look back at the stats and I'm saying 17 games at centre mid, 27 games at right back, and he's been signed after we sold Emerson Royal. He's a right back. He's coming in as a right back. And where does he play? He played as a centre mid. He's played right back, centre back, left back. He's a versatile 19-year-old. It's ridiculous to have a versatile 19-year-old. James Milner's. You want the James Milner's as the versatile players, 35 that have been there and everywhere. It's not Archie Gray's fault, but he's not a centre mid. We haven't replaced Højbjerg with Bergvall. People were going crazy about him because he was doing stepovers for Djurgården. They're going crazy, and I said, I don't rate this guy. I don't know anything about this guy. He's coming from Sweden. And the comments after this were like, Tommy, you haven't given this guy a chance yet. But because he's come from Djurgården, he's got nothing to show me that he's going to be good. What is there? Where's the CV? Same with Ange. Where's the CV to tell me he's going to be a good manager? There's nothing there. And now Bergvall doesn't play. Archie Gray doesn't play. We're crap, and they still don't play.
Yep.
Who says they're crap? I think
they're not playing. We've got all these injuries, and they're still not playing.
Well, that's down to the manager.
But
you think this manager's any good? Do you think he's got an eye for talents? Johnson was his choice the previous year. That was
people going crazy about how he's done with Van der Ven and the Udogie. Everyone was going crazy about it last season.
Udogie
Van der Ven. These players are going to do well regardless.
Conte was, wasn't it?
Van der Ven was the one signing he got spot on.
Udogie and Porro came under Conte, although Udogie went back on loan. Vicario was under Conte. Van der Ven was on Ange. In the midfield, Sarr was already here. Bassoon was here. Maddison was under Ange. Maddison was before Ange came, wasn't it?
Still, I've got a list here. Before Ange, Vicario, Forster, Davis, Romero, Porro, Udogie, Basuma, Bentancur, Sarr, Kulu, Son, Richarlison, Spence. Since he's joined, Ange, Dragusin, Mickey, Werner, Solomon, Maddison, Johnson, Solanke, Phillips, Bergvall, Gray, Yang, and Odebear. I think
that's not great, is it?
I think Paratici and his team, take Son out, obviously. Paratici and his team are on a different level.
See, the thing is though, when you're talking about Van der Ven, he was, you could already see his potential. He was already under 21 captain for Netherlands. He was always coming into the first team, so you saw the potential there with him. But with the others, you're right, Tommy. There's absolutely nothing. The Bergvall, for me, again, was another one of these. We seem to get like hoodwinked into signings where they go, like Valise. He was being rated as the next Messi. Well, we'll have him just because he's rated as being the next Messi. I mean, that's how we seem to buy our players on.
Honestly, I know it sounds silly, but this is a social media world. This is 2024. Blonde hair, blue eyes. People, a few stepovers, blonde hair, blue eyes with Bergvall. I don't know, like a Targaryen from Game of Thrones. I don't know. This is where we are. I think people were getting, people were just loving it because blonde hair, blue eyes showed a bit of flair. It's like, what? He's a good-looking lad. He's a good-looking boy from Scandinavia. Doesn't mean he's going to be a good footballer. But people are convinced. They convince themselves. If you have a few stepovers, flick your hair at Djurgården in Sweden, you're going to be a success. And when I said it's not the case in the summer, and now he's not playing, not because I'm intelligent or an expert. It's just that's what was going to happen. It's clear that was what's going to happen. And now he can't get in with injuries. He can't get in. I think one of the biggest mistakes we made is, as much as you want to rate Højbjerg, I don't think he's a great player, but he was a sort of leader in the dressing room. It was, and we lacked any leadership whatsoever.
That's another story.
Even a little bit of leadership, to lose even a little bit of leadership when you have none is problematic.
But if you want someone that gets overrun by quick midfield players, but he's okay, we'll stick him in there. Doesn't matter that he's going to be overrun, but he's a leader. Sorry, not good enough for me. Højbjerg is not up to it. Sorry, not for me.
I don't think he's a great player, but you need sometimes if your leadership levels are struggling, don't get rid of someone that is sort of a leader and replace him with an 18-year-old from Sweden. You know what I mean?
But he didn't want to be a substitute, did he? Didn't want to come on for 20 minutes, and he did his best work for us last season when he was a sub. When he started, we hardly won a game.
But you still could have replaced him with someone like Bergvall, Archie Gray. There's players with experience that you could have replaced.
Bergvall, Archie Gray came in. Listen, Archie Gray's a different thing. He's an 18-year-old kid, and he must have been bought for the future. What they should have, Ange was after Gallagher. That's who he wanted.
You keep harping on about this, Ian, but Gallagher was never coming to Tottenham.
Of course he wasn't.
Ever. So stop going on about it.
How stupid was it for the manager to keep going on and keep chasing the same player? when he didn't want to come. Nonsense. Absolute nonsense.
This winds me up as well. Sorry, I don't mean Lena winds me up, but Bergvall was a renowned Barcelona target too. He was not a nobody. Well, then go to Barcelona. I'm sorry, you don't go to Tottenham after Barcelona if you're a target for Barcelona. If they want you, you go to Barcelona. End of story. That's it. Your career is done.
100%. 100%.
Like, who was the other one? Dragusin was for Bayern Munich, wasn't it?
Yeah, Bayern Munich.
Bayern Munich want you, you go to Bayern Munich. You don't go to Tottenham.
And do you know what? That wasn't even...
You beat Bayern Munich for him.
The thing I agreed with you the most is something that doesn't get talked about enough, and it's Gallagher. Gallagher was never coming to Spurs.
Never in a million years.
We haven't signed a Chelsea player since Emmanuel Petit. Gus Poyet.
Right.
And he was released. I think he was released.
I think William Gallas.
Tottenham did. Come on,
and also
Lena.
another thing I used to do when I was streaming back in the day, I was like, we don't really sign winners, do we? We don't really sign winners. The last player we signed from a top 4 team in the Premier League,
Robbie Keane.
No, Adebayor is a little bit later, 2011 when he was playing for Man City. That's the last player, and you want winners. Even the Gabriel Jesus and Zinchenko signing, they're not great players, but they've got a winning mentality in there, and it's sometimes good to have that winning mentality. And I think that's why Arsenal are competing for titles. You need some winners in there, and we just got nothing. Adebayor, 2011, 14 years ago, 28 transfer windows ago. That's the last time. That's embarrassing. You're not going to win anything. You're not going to compete for anything if you don't get the experienced boys in. You need a balance. Bringing an 18-year-old Archie Gray who's played 1 season and Bergvall's played in Sweden is not good enough. It's not even close to being good enough.
Listen, we're going to wrap it up, guys. We've been going for almost 3 hours. It's been a long show. It's been a great show, actually. We haven't had a really good show like this in a while on a Monday. Great to have Tommy on as always. People say get Tommy back on. Tommy's always welcome back here, but he had his own channel, but he's been taking a long break. So whenever Tommy wants to come on, it's up to him. He knows he's always welcome here.
No, Dan's smashing it. Dan's smashing it. So get over the Hotspur Hood. Dan's brilliant.
Yeah, Dan's doing well with the channel, man. So well done to Dan. Keep it up. Big up to the super chats, Derange Ball with a couple of super chats, A User, Boise, edX, thank you so much, and to Tommy Castilla. Big up to you guys. Big up to JP, to Ian, to Tommy, to Lee, and to Maz, who was on the show earlier. Good show, guys, as always. We will be back. Iggy might do a video during the week, but we will be back on Thursday, the post-match late show, Bournemouth Spurs. God knows what kind of show that's going to be. I've got no idea. Big game for sure. This will be a late one because it's an 8:15 kickoff. So I think this is going live at either 10:45 or 11 p.m. I don't book the fixtures for Spurs, so it's 8:15 kickoff. So make sure you come and check that one out, guys. Like, subscribe, hit notification bell for this channel. Otherwise, we're out of here. Thanks for being with us. As always, we'll be back on Thursday. Have a good one. Until the next one.
Much love. Come on, you Spurs.
The first game we look for, Robbie. Tottenham away. When we got Tottenham away. Tottenham away. When we got Tottenham away.